We know you're a millionaire, so we want to know where you're spending.
I was raised with nothing. I had nothing. I made money because I had to, not because I wanted to. I have a net worth of $9.7 million. I could very easily make a mistake and the $500,000 I have in my bank account be dried up.
He's like, little baby, I ain't got 100 mil yet. I can't chill yet.
Are you selling certain assets today because you feel a recession is to come, interest rates will skyrocket, prices may go down?
Do I think that we are in a place where it's becoming unsustainable? Absolutely.
Was it somebody behind you kind of giving you this guidance or push of make sure of this, make sure of this?
Everything that I have ever learned, I learned the hard way. But when I sold the property, I think I made $1.7 million profit.
My guy.
The properties start off as the asset, and eventually when they do enough business, you become the asset.
There's bad landlords. They're like, this person's making money. There's no way they'll leave. Let's raise rents.
Anything anybody says means absolutely nothing if you don't have it in writing.
Wow.
But I sold that for enough money that I got the land for free.
So you got 65 acres for free.
I got 65 acres for free. It paid for my house, and it paid for my shop, and it paid for my little guest house.
My guy is living good. It's a good feeling to actually like wear something like this. But when I spend money on this, it's like, oh, this is cool, but now I want to go even harder.
I purchased it in 2016 at $11,000 a door.
11 a door on a 24-plex?
He's a cowboy. He's like, I see this, I want it.
Yeah.
I'm going to turn it around.
And I was like, look, I do houses all the time. I had owned, at the time, 58 single-family houses.
What's going on, everybody? I hope you're all having a blessed day. And today we have a beautiful podcast for you all with a special, I'm going to give it 3 times, a very special guest, guys. We got something going on good for you. And today we're going to give you the real estate gems. Okay. Now, before I get into this, for those who are new to the channel, we have a 5-letter word. And that 5-letter word starts with a V. Before I ask you, can you guess what the 5-letter word might be?
Starts with a V?
With a V.
With a V. Oh, man.
I'll save him. It's value. He's about to be thinking. It's value.
He's going to say video. That's a pretty good guess.
Yeah.
It is value. If we don't give you value on this podcast, we don't want to be here. How far did you drive? About an hour?
Yeah, hour to an hour and a half.
Exactly, guys. He drove out an hour and a half to this podcast to make it happen for you all today. How far do you drive here?
About an hour as well. Why do you live so far, bro?
I didn't drive anywhere. I just walked from my master bedroom to the office. That's all I had to do.
Life is good.
But Jake's like, damn it, you do that to us. All right, guys. And today, I'm going to give you an introduction real quick on what we got going on. So for the new ones here, my name is Karam Khalil. I'm a real estate agent in commercial real estate and investor. We got Ben Wegmann, who's a luxury residential real estate agent and business owner. And we got Jawad Dashti, who is a heavy real estate investor with an extremely interesting story. And it's Jawad Dashti. I say that in Arabic, by the way. You say you get that from your family too?
Yeah, I always get corrected on how I pronounce my name. I never seem to
do you go by Jake more than Jawad?
I don't go by anything. I just want people to do business with me and give me some money. But
yeah,
people make a lot of jokes. I go by Jake, JD, Jawad.
Nice,
and
that's cool.
They're like, what do you prefer? I don't care. I just need to know that you're talking to me.
Nice. I like that. That's awesome. And we're going to be talking to you guys about real estate investments, value add properties, how he started, how he's made millions of dollars. A very interesting story that led to a lawsuit where he was buying a commercial real estate property. It's a retail building, 6-unit retail building. And there's just so much that we're going to talk about. So guys, if you're busy with something or you plan to put this on the back end, don't do that. Watch every second because I promise you, you're going to get a ton of value. Now, for those on Spotify, huge shout out for you all. We appreciate you guys watching there. Well, listening there because you can't watch there. Yeah. So thank you for listening there. And those on YouTube, subscribe, like, and we're going to dive right into it. Oh, before I do that, we got a Discord channel.
Link down below.
Link is down below. Jake,
join.
for you to know this, that Discord channel is basically me and Ben in there. Any questions anybody has, we answer it instantly. That's what the channel's about.
That's good to know. I thought Discord was just for Bitcoin people. So.
Real estate people too.
Real estate people too.
Yeah,
hey,
now you know.
He's like, crap, I didn't know this podcast about Bitcoin. Yeah. No, it's just we have mainly real estate people in there. They ask questions off the top. We give them a quick answer. Investments or in as real estate agents. So join that, guys, if you want that value. And we're diving right in. I'm going to get comfortable and I'm going to ask you the first question, which is, how in the world did you start with real estate, with in general your life? Where were you? How did you start, and how did you get to where you got to right now? It's kind of like a filled question, but we kind of want some background of you for everyone listening.
How far you want me to go back? Just when I started real estate, or
17 years old, delivering in Seagoville pizza.
Yeah. Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So I used to get in trouble like a lot, and I used to blame my problems on everybody else, and I got put on probation, and my probation officer was pretty cool and would sit down and like level out with you and make you realize that the idiot was actually yourself. And he had a great way of doing that. And I was honest enough with myself to admit that a lot of my problems were because of me and the choices I was making. He had me live with my grandparents, and my grandpa's solution to getting in trouble was work so much that you don't have time to get in trouble.
Ooh, that's good.
That's when I started working in the plumbing field, and then my little brother followed my footsteps and started getting in trouble a lot. Crap. So I ended up taking care of him because nobody else wanted to deal with the problems. So I was...
That's a big brother, right?
Yeah, that's a big brother. So I was plumbing during the day and delivering pizzas at night to make the ends meet.
What age was this?
At that point, I was probably 20.
Yeah. Okay. That is awesome. How old was your brother?
He's 3 years younger, so he was probably 17. He was 16 at the time because I remember he was like couldn't wait to drop out, which I can't hate because I dropped out too. So
there you go.
I didn't even finish high school.
We got 2 dropouts. Yeah.
This is getting pretty good, pretty quick. Okay, so we're listening.
Which I'm not proud of, by the way, but it worked out for me for the best. So
now, are you not proud of it because you dropped out and you didn't continue because you couldn't, or you're not proud of it from what aspect? I'm just curious.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of people who are like schools for fools, and I'll tell you this. Every single thing that I heard in school and I was like, you're stupid, I will never use this in my life, I use it all.
What?
So even the Pythagorean theorem, y'all remember that? That was on my plumbing license test.
Yeah. No way.
Yeah, you have to know that to know the volume of water.
I'm right? A squared plus B squared equals C squared?
Probably.
Okay, yeah.
But you were a plumber, so you had to, were you licensed?
Yeah, so I had to get my master's license, which is 8 years. It's like getting a doctorate.
You're kidding.
So
and you got it.
Yeah, and I got it. And so that was on my test, and I was laughing. I was like, I need to go find my teacher and apologize.
That's hilarious. Okay, so you were delivering pizzas at night. Now people say, like, I became a plumber, but let's take this off the top. I know plumbers who make more than doctors if you're a good plumber. Is that true? Like 200, 300, $400K a year?
I was making good money, and I would get chewed out by doctors and attorneys where we would bill them, and we were actually very affordable because I had just started out. You're hungry and you don't value yourself enough yet. So there's the V word. And I would have attorneys that were like, I don't even make this much money. And I'm like, get a better job.
Yep.
So they're salty because a plumber's making more money than them.
But there's definitely attorneys out there that make way more. He just wasn't the right one.
He wasn't the one.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Dude, that's hilarious. Okay, so you were making some good money and you became a plumber. So you were at 20 years old when you started. Was it 28 when you got your master plumbing license? Or what age was that?
So I started the plumbing at 17. I got my first license at 21, which only means that you can be a plumber, period, at that license. And then it took 4 more years to get my master's, so that was 25.
I did not know it was an 8-year process.
You're basically a doctor, so I'm going to start calling you Dr. Dashti.
Yeah, so a lot of people don't know this, and I'm not trying to make plumbers sound cool, even though Mario Brothers,
hopping in the pipes.
But a plumber can kill more people than a doctor ever can. So the reason why licensing became so serious is because a plumber made a mistake, or a handyman made a mistake at a school, and a boiler exploded, and it killed everybody in the school.
Jeez.
That happened in Texas. And then there was a drinking fountain that was installed incorrectly at a sports stadium, and it killed like thousands of people.
They're just poisoned, or
contaminated water and poisons people. So
jeez.
I would have never thought of that. Do you still own a plumbing company, or did you ever own one?
Yeah, I still own a plumbing company.
Nice. So you're real estate and you do the plumbing aspect.
Yeah, but I don't manage the plumbing company. There's people that manage the office. I do get calls every day, every other day, whatever, kind of like a broker would, where they got a question. But that's usually just like a 3-minute phone call.
But you connect, you refer a ton to your own business.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Nice.
Okay, so that business, it was making you good money. Is that what made you transition into real estate? Like, what's the transition to get into real estate?
So I went from being homeless to living with my grandparents to starting the plumbing company. And then I used to always work for this guy named Jeff, who a lot of people know. He's a broker out of Richardson, Jeff Stejic, if you've ever
I've heard of
him.
his last name, yeah.
So now he owns some 3M Customs or something like that. But
Nice.
at the time when I met him, he's a big deal now. But back then he was just some carpenter. And he owned a couple rental properties in Richardson back when Richardson wasn't a big deal, close to UTD.
Nice.
And I worked on a lot of jobs with him. And then he started adding second floors to all of his rental properties. And since he was a carpenter, he was doing it pretty cheap and adding a lot of value to them. And then I hadn't seen him for like a year or two, which, you know, all the contractors in a city know each other. You run into each other at different job sites. But later on, I seen him, and he's like got this really nice car, this big house. He's got way more rentals, and I was like, "Whoa, what's going on here?" And he went from being like on an equal playing field to now he's like paying me to come do work on his rental properties.
So you were
Leveled
like,
up.
yeah, that's awesome. So you were like, he's done that. I can probably do the same thing. Was he working side by side with you in a different, like not the same industry, but kind of same properties?
Yeah, he was always the, you know, carpenter and things like that. And to my understanding, had just gotten started in the real estate field. And I just spoke to him recently, and like I guess his son's a title attorney now, and his other son's a broker. So.
Do you have anybody in your family who's in real estate before you got into it?
No.
So you just was all you?
Yeah, I'm pretty hard-headed and think highly of myself. So I was like, if you can do this, I can definitely do this. And I, you know, as anybody in construction, getting hired by all these flippers that won't stop bragging about how much money they're making.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you how little I knew about real estate at the time. I was like, if you could do this and y'all don't have a clue what you're doing with this construction. Wow. And I'm like, then I could do this. Yeah. But little did I know the construction has very little to do with real estate. It's so much more about the numbers and things like that.
The deal finding and all that.
But at the time, I was like, you don't know nothing about this.
Yeah.
Like,
here's one thing, though, I needed to mention is, Jake, you wholesale, you flip, you have value add properties.
I was just about to ask, what's his full capacity?
I should have said that on the intro. So probably put a scene in the front as well. You wholesale, you flip, you rent, you have value add properties. I know you do cash out refis. You were heavy in residential, if I'm not mistaken, right? And are you doing a transition to commercial?
I'm playing a lot more in the field.
How heavy would you say you're in residential? Is there a lot of rental properties? Do you mainly just rent them, flip them? Do you wholesale them? Like, what's your...
So in 2018, 2019, I don't know, before COVID, I'd say that at all times we were renovating 4 or 5 properties at a time that were either for flips or rentals. While I had a 24-unit apartment complex that was here in Grand Prairie.
Nice.
It was over by the new GM.
Are you talking, you said the new GM?
Yeah, where the General Motors.
Oh, I got you. It kind of borders Arlington area there. Okay.
We're right at the border.
Okay.
So it was over there, and plus I had...
A 24-plex there. I would think that's hot. You're like 5 minutes from the Cowboy Stadium now.
Yeah.
Not
and I'm
bad.
sure that thing is appreciated like crazy, huh?
Yeah.
Did you hold it or you sold it already?
I just sold that.
Oh, you just
nice.
sold it.
I just
Congrats.
sold it right before meeting you.
Wow.
What?
Like today?
No.
Oh, okay,
before
okay,
meeting-
gotcha.
oh, okay.
Gotcha.
No. So I
Nice.
But
purchased...
still a good market, like 8 months ago, maybe.
100%.
9
I
months
purchased
ago?
it in 2016 at $11,000 a door.
Okay.
Maybe, I don't know.
So let's say 10, so $280,000 maybe.
Yeah,
somewhere
around there.
$16,000 a door, somewhere in
11 a door on a 24-plex.
Yeah, well, so at the time I was getting 20 units, and so I was getting 20 units, and I'm telling you they were bad.
Okay.
Like, I don't know how well you know that 180 area, which now is getting.
I'm familiar with it. Are you're
but-
close to Jefferson?
Mhm.
Okay, I know where
And
you are.
so, whenever I purchase it, and slap me if I say something I'm not supposed to say on here, but it was all out of 20 units. Only 3 people had a lease, but it was fully occupied. Everybody else was a hooker or a drug addict who was a squatter.
So what made you get the confidence to buy an asset like that?
That's what I told you. Is
You're a value add, in my opinion.
He's
like
a
that.
cowboy. He's a cowboy. He's like, I see this, I want it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna turn it around.
and I was like, look, I do houses all the time, and you know, I had owned at the time 58
Wow.
single family houses,
Wow.
and
Beautiful.
I was turning over, like I said, 4 to 6 to 8 houses at a time.
Nice.
That we were rehabbing, whether it was like wholesale, hotel flips, things like that.
Cool.
And so we were on fire with it, and I was like, I can do this. It's the exact same thing. Well, of course, I learned it's not the same.
Yeah.
Wow.
Inspections are different. COs are different. Your fire stuff's different. Like, there was a lot of learning curve through it. But when I sold the property, I made a little over I think I made 1.7 million profit.
My guy.
So
There you go.
That makes you feel good.
Man.
I don't want to trick anybody into thinking this was easy.
Yeah.
It made me
Of
feel
course-
good
of
about the
course it's
number.
not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about it. 2016, you went and you bought it. Let's say you spent 260 to 280. It was a beat down property. You had bad leases. You had to do so much renovations to it.
It was rough.
You had random people squatting in it. They were doing bad things. 2016, what's the time frame of remodeling it?
But remember, that was 20 doors. So how it became 24.
Oh, how did it become 4 more?
So I was out there. I always wanted to go through the property first before I get my team out there. And the reason why is if my team comes out there and they see syringes and all this other stuff, one, they're going to not want to come, or they're not going to, like, it just messes up the vibe and the flow for them. And
What do you mean by syringes?
Like people
needles.
shooting up heroin.
Needles.
Oh.
Or they just say, this is our opportunity to get in really low. Like, let's low bomb. There are needles everywhere.
Yeah.
So I'm out there, and you know, I'm kind of coming up with my plan and my scope of work.
Nice.
Which I'm just basically like, hey, this is what I think we're going to rent them for. This is what I want to do to them. I'm looking, trying to see what can we save, what can we not save. And I see this old man at a fourplex across the street that's identical to mine. They had to have all been one at some point. And I walked up to him. I'm like, hey, do you own this? He's like, yeah. I'm like, you want to sell it? And he's like, nope. and then he started mowing his lawn. So the next time he went out there, I noticed it was on the same day. So now I know, like, he comes on the same day of the month every day.
Yeah.
Smart.
And I asked him again. He's like, no. And then he started mowing the lawn. This guy's like 70-something years old.
Oh, wow.
He's just chilling. He's making in a couple
So the
couple
third
bucks a month.
time I show up, because I know you always have to follow up. And the third time, I'm like, I'm not going to ask him before he mows the lawn. I'm going to ask him after he mows this lawn.
He's all tired and beat down.
This dude was so beat down. It was like 107 degrees. He had a riding mower, but now he's trying to push this riding mower up into his pickup truck, and he's looking at me with these big tear-dropped eyes, like wondering if I'll help him put it in there.
Or please buy my property.
And so I walked up there, and I was like, hey, you want to sell the property? And he's like, how much you talking? I was like, oh, see? This
Now
is
you got
it.
to
Foot in the door.
Yeah.
Foot in the door. Nice.
And I told him, I was like, you really want to come out here and do this once a month? And he was like, no. I hate this place. And you could tell he hated the place because it was a very nice property that had not been maintained at all. You could tell the guy didn't enjoy it at all. And I asked him, I said, if you don't like it, like, why do you still own it?
Nice.
And he said, for my son. And I said, well, have you even asked your son if he wants it? And he froze. And you could tell he never even considered that.
Wow.
Good question.
Yeah, definitely.
Very good questions where you're making the guy think. And the follow-up, you know, we want to give this value quick to the viewers. Me and Ben in real estate, every single thing in the game of real estate, and I think in business in general, you guys can guarantee that, you have to follow up. You have to follow up, follow through, and I think follow back as well. Ryan Serhant speaks heavily on that, and that's the name of the game. You keep following up, you keep pushing forward, and hopefully you end up landing. We have a property we just closed on. It's 2 pieces of land. Beside it is it's just an empty about 0.2 acre land as well. It's an 86-year-old lady who owns it. I called her 3 weeks ago, never thought of selling it. I said, okay, I'll follow up in a week. Followed up again. She answered. She goes, I don't know the number yet. Followed up 3 weeks later, no pickup. Called from a different phone, no pickup. But I'm going to keep following up.
Yeah.
Because if we close that third property, it becomes almost an acre of a property. We can possibly build an 8-plex on it.
Nice.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's the follow-up that Jake just said made him, in my opinion, millions. Because you added that 4-plex on it, right? So is it something you added onto the building, or you just purchased it and then just made it all one property?
Yeah, I just purchased it and made it all one property. But he ended up selling it to me owner finance with like only $10,000 down.
Wow.
And
Nice.
I only had to pay him $1,000 a month, and it was 4 2-bedroom units.
Wow.
So
What's the number you bought it at? You put 10 down. What did you pay for it?
I
Did you pay a
believe-
little more because you felt it was a good add to your 20 units?
Yeah, so he told me he only wanted $150,000 for it.
Okay.
Which, can you imagine now? Like now,
Insane. Yeah.
yeah, I'd buy them all.
Yeah.
But
150 right now in a 4 unit, not even considering area, has to be 400 to 600.
And quick
Yeah.
question: are you using your own money? I know you were only down 10,000 on this one. For the other one, are you using your own money, or do you have investors? How does that usually
Good question.
well, so at the time, I didn't know about 1031 exchanges.
Sure.
And so I made the mistake of selling some houses, taking the tax hit,
work? Gotcha.
and buying the apartments.
So you're funding this all on your own?
Yeah, I was
Awesome.
funding it all on
Nice.
my own,
Nice.
with a plan to rehab it, rent it out, and then refinance it.
There you go.
There's too many questions coming in my head. And now that I got you here, I have to
Yeah.
throw them.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. 1031, can you sell 10 houses, 1031 all that profit into one asset?
Yes.
Or you can do that?
Yes.
So you sold, let's say 5, and then you 1031 the whole amount.
Yeah, but
you could have done that.
But you cannot take one property and sell it and buy 10.
You cannot take.
Interesting.
You cannot sell $1 million property gain and then buy 10 assets from there.
Yes, correct.
You can't disperse. It has to go to one.
It has to all be
You-
funneled
you
into
can
one.
go from 1 down to 3.
Oh, okay.
So if I sold my shopping center and made $1 million, I can take the whole $2 million total and then take it and buy 3 other properties.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
This is good. I didn't know this. Yeah.
But so you can take one asset and buy 3 assets with it. You can disperse the profits to different.
Yeah.
But it's complicated because they're like, then it has to be a property that's the same value or more, and then it becomes a boot and you pay taxes on it.
Yeah.
It's well,
But the trickier it is, the more gray it is. The more gray it is, the more ways that you can make it work.
Nice.
And that's
Really?
why
I
a
like
lot of
that.
lulls have the
I like
gray.
that.
So
Ooh.
what I did was, so I bought that property owner finance, raised all the rents on everything. I started leasing the 2 bedrooms. I raised them from $500 a month to $1,180 a month or $1,280 a month,
That's
something
a
like
double.
that.
Almost
And-
triple.
And before everybody thinks I'm the bad guy, I fixed a lot of stuff this guy didn't fix in 30 years. Like one unit didn't have electricity.
protect yourself.
Something-
People get
yeah.
sensitive about this stuff. I
try
agree.
And, try and
Somebody-
cancel them.
This old man named Joe lived in a unit and didn't have electricity because
Wow.
the panel had been broken. And
Wow.
I'm like, you can't live in here without electricity. And
So you hooked them up.
yeah,
Like you
and-
gave them something to live in, something livable.
Yeah, and so some tenants, of course, leave, and if they do, I refer them to other places, and some stay.
Nice.
Some that I never would have thought would stay if you double the rent were more than happy to, because I took what looked like the worst thing that you could have possibly imagine, a dump,
Okay.
and gave them what was basically a
Good
palace.
job.
At
Nice.
So you're a huge asset to the city. Any city you go into where you add value, I believe you're an asset. You're doing it in Quinlan, right? You do it really anywhere you go in Fort Worth. You made, what is it, on Lancaster, a gorgeous building. So that's huge. So 20-unit building you purchased, 4-unit buildings
Yeah.
purchased. You made them 24 units.
I sell them for $2.2 million, and then when I wanted to go 1031 it, I was like, all right, let me see what big stuff I could buy, and then I realized like I'm finding a lot more profitable value add deals in the not so expensive range. So then I was like, So even though I'm selling this all together, technically I bought the property separate. So technically, since I bought 3 properties separately on 3 different parcels and deeds,
Okay.
can I not turn each 3 into 3, which means I could 1031 into 9 properties? And so my 1031 company said, yes, you can do that. And so
That's huge.
Wow.
That is beautiful.
and so that let me take a little over $1.5 million and purchase a lot more properties.
How much was the renovation? A couple $100,000?
I believe
You say you're in at 250 plus 150. You're at 400. You probably put 2, 3, 400.
I think I put. I know it was like $7,500 a door. So you do the math.
7
What is
on
that?
20, so like 180 maybe 180,000.
Probably 250,000.
Was when you made that $1 to $1.5 million profit. Could you say that was your first $1 million profit flip?
Yes.
Okay. When you made that, you made it in life. Is that what you
How
felt?
you feeling? How you feeling after making?
I don't feel
$1 million+?
anything because
Wow.
for those of you that don't know, I will be the only honest person and tell you
I love
that
it.
you never get to touch the money.
You never.
Yeah.
You never.
Yeah.
And I even asked my 1031 lady.
No.
I was like, I know I
Can I
can't
just
touch the
hold
money,
it?
but yeah, can I just take a picture with it?
Yeah.
Can I go to the bank? Which
This
first off,
is so funny.
if you've ever gone to a bank,
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever tried to pull out money,
Like
but,
250 or
but
something, or 200.
most of them don't even have $10,000.
Yeah,
in it.
yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
And if you try to, they're like, fill out this form and let's make sure you get audited if you fill out this form.
Well, they even tell me, like, one time I tried to get $20,000 out to buy a car, and they were like, we don't have that. Like, we have to order it.
Yeah.
And
You have to like call way ahead.
Yeah, dude. At one
Yeah.
time, I had to hop banks. I actually had to hop
Yeah.
banks for a quick deal that I needed to do.
That's
I
what I
had
ended
to
up
do
doing.
that to buy a new watch. I had to hot banks. Yeah, my guy was like, I want cash only. I was like, okay.
That is
Yeah.
hilarious.
But no,
That's
I've never had
funny.
$1 million in my account.
Wow.
I've never got to hold $1 million in my hand.
Not yet. Not yet, right?
On average, I keep $600,000 in my account, and that's
Something
that's
light.
that's for cushion.
Yeah.
But I've got to have that, like,
It's
because
like,
you never
would
know.
you consider that reserves?
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you define every bank account for every asset in its own reserves, or is it just your personal or your business? has all
So in my books, I split everything up to the penny to the building.
Nice.
Which accountants love. Everybody else says I'm crazy. They're like, nope, just throw it all in there. It should just be a drop in the bucket.
They're saying throw it in one bank?
Well,
What are they?
they're saying just put it all towards like your properties, 2- properties.
Okay.
And I don't do it like that. So anytime somebody buys something, I'm like, hey, we spent $14.32 at Home Depot, and it went towards this property buying
Nice.
this.
Good
So
job.
my accountant
Yeah.
loves that. But then I can pull reports at any time, and I know what's performing, what's not. And
I love that.
Because sometimes, I'll tell you right now, I had properties where I'm like, I will never sell this property. I love this property. And then I go run my numbers, which I do every single year when the new tax, property tax comes out. I rerun all my properties. And sometimes I'm like, the one that I thought I would never sell ended up being my worst performing one. And, it's still great performing in industry standards.
Okay.
Sure.
But it's not.
You have a different performance level.
Yeah.
Nice.
And because you don't think about turnaround or things like that. So
2- Properties. Tell us a little bit about that. I know that's your company. I know you have 2- Properties, 2- Home Buyers.
yes.
And then how do you like define these two? What's the differences with them?
2- Properties currently is the rental company. So
Okay. Is that where, like, let's say, like the 50 plus homes are in there?
correct.
And then you have 2-
Home buyers, which I did separately. That's for all the wholesaling and flipping.
Okay.
I just wanted to separate the liabilities.
Nice.
Nice. Yeah.
Would you say that your commercials and 2- Properties?
It is currently, but that's changing.
Got it. You're changing the structure on that?
Yeah, I'm changing my structure a lot. So
Is that going to be a whole other entity or?
yes.
Yeah. Nice.
So you have like 2- Properties, 2- Home Buyers, 2-
And then the plumbing,
commercial.
The plumbing company is Precision Plumbing, but the LLC is actually 2- Group.
I've actually heard
Nice.
of that company before.
Precision Plumbing?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
So
That is really cool.
Yeah.
I've reached out to them also for personal work, for flips and such like that. This is so crazy. This is
Yeah.
so much value.
I like
Okay,
it.
so you made a nice flip, made some good money. You never felt it, so you didn't really feel that you made that much money.
Yeah.
Did you find an asset to relocate it to?
Yeah, I found multiple.
Because you could do up to 9, right?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So one of them is the property where I met you.
Nice. We need to
it's-
talk about that story. Super
Yeah.
funny story, and it was a really good deal.
Yeah. So that was the 6-unit in Fort Worth, and I don't know. Did we know each other before that?
So let me give you guys the scoop, the inside scoop.
Let's
We
hear
need
it.
to have like an inside scoop series. So there's a property on the market in Fort Worth, Texas. We're not going to get into all the details of it, but you were interested in buying it,
Yes.
right?
You were listing agent?
No, not listing
Okay.
agent. But somehow, some way, I don't want to get into too much detail because
I understand.
I got to get, you know what I mean?
understand.
Somehow, some way, me and him found each other in the DMs on Facebook.
Okay.
He, DFW Real Estate Investment Group, right?
Yeah.
You're the admin of that. It's about 40 plus something thousand members, which, I mean, you need an investment, you need a wholesale, you need advice, you need to post. Like, there is everything about it in that group. It's a huge asset for us here, specifically in DFW, right? So me and him, I make a lot of posts there. I see he makes a lot of posts there. When you do real estate deals, guys, you just get known by the other ones who do real estate deals. I always tell people you can always BS someone who's not a player.
Yeah.
Someone who's not in the game. But the people you need to impress are those in the game. But you can't impress them because they'll sniff you out real quick if they find out that you're faking it, fake it till you make it type of thing. So I've seen him make a lot of posts. I've made posts, and then we just ended up being in the DMs. I ended up representing him on the commercial purchase, which it was literally like, hey, can I represent you? He's like, sure, just get me in the door.
Nice.
Got him in the door, and then I saw him perform. I am not kidding you. I learned so much from the deal. And it's funny because I was the realtor who's supposed to be guiding him, which I did my best that I can do, but he has a ton of knowledge, so he was also catching a ton of stuff.
Sure.
And we had these sellers of the property. It was a 6-unit retail building. They kept messing with the leases. They kept having tenants playing games. They weren't showing things in transparency. And Jake's like, why the hell are they changing this? Why the hell are they doing this? And he was buying it happy as is.
Sure.
But they were playing with things thinking they're making it look better for him.
Gotcha.
But he had a game of value.
He didn't
add.
care, yeah.
He didn't care. He had a game of value add. Had a game of a bunch of stuff. Anyways,
the biggest mistake they were making was they were trying to impress me by locking people into long-term leases. But when you have value add and you can double the rent,
Sure.
I don't want these people in 5-year
Literally
leases.
doing the opposite of what I want. Yeah.
And the more I told them to stop, the more they were doing it.
Oh, gosh.
And it was becoming a headache. And I do want to correct you on something.
okay.
Karam thinks that he just came in my inbox and was like, hey, let me represent you. And I was like, okay.
Yeah.
100 realtors messaged me a day,
Sure.
including today, and asked for my business.
Yeah. I'm about
to be honest, I kindly as possible blow these people off.
Yeah.
Karam is the only person that didn't come saying me and said you.
Nice.
He was the first
Great
person
point.
that came to me and said, how can I provide you value? How can
Wow.
he came with a servant's mindset.
Nice.
So
Karam?
that's why I wanted to
Don't
do
leave
that
me hanging.
business.
That just gave me goosebumps.
So
I thank you so much for
and
saying
that wasn't
That's
just
huge.
beforehand. That was after the closing too, by the way.
Man, that is awesome.
So I want to give you credit there.
Thank you so much for that. Like, it's crazy.
Great work.
It blew me away by you saying that. I really appreciate that. It was a special deal for me. It was a great connection to have with you. And, when I came into that deal, I was like, I got to make it happen for him in every single aspect. And I did my best with it, and I know that is a very good asset for you today. I know you got the city to pay for a lot of the facelifting you did. I know that you got tenants who are paying you a lot more in the rent. And just to touch up on what he was talking about, so some leases were 6 months left, a year left, 2 years left. He was happy with those. He actually wanted some to end so he can raise rents, which is the value add game. And they were changing those leases to 5-year leases, thinking he's going to feel more comfortable with a cash flowing asset.
Sure. Yeah.
He didn't want that. You're in the value add game.
Yeah,
you know
and so we're picking it up at an 8 cap, which in DFW is good right now.
Yeah.
But for the area, I really don't want to buy an 8 cap. Like to some people that'd be good, but it's really not what I'm looking for.
Gotcha.
And by the time that I'm done making this perform the way it should, technically I'd have it at probably about a 16 cap. And I'm okay with some people being locked in for a year because, you want to go through one tenant at a time, increasing rent so you're still cash flowing while doing what you need to do. But when they're locking everybody in for 5 and then we complain, so then they switched everybody to month to month. And then we were like, hey, you changed the rents. And so then they started changing the rent numbers. It became a big problem.
They literally kept back and forth, and then you pulled in, and this is where I saw him get aggressive. And he has, the next thing I know, we're getting some lawyer emails. And I'm like, oh, hell no.
The lawyers are coming in.
He pulled in a lawyer on the deal. And I'm like, my hands are up. Like, what do we do?
Yeah.
And we knew we were in the same scoop of what's about to happen, but his lawyer came in hot. He came in ready, and he came in demanding. And I know Jake was fuming him from behind, telling him 1, 2, 3.
Sure.
They ended up fixing, if I'm not mistaken, everything needed. And then you ended up hustling $67,000.
Yeah, so before everybody thinks that I just bully these people, understand.
No, not at all.
He's got to set the record straight.
Yeah.
They signed multiple contracts with me that state you will not modify the lease.
I was about to tell you. I was about to say.
You will not make any changes at all because you know that I'm buying the property.
Sure.
So, of course.
Unless it's under your approvals.
Yeah, you got to have written approval from me.
Exactly. So
And
the
not
contract
only,
stated
not
that.
only did they do it once, it was like
because
10
they were
times.
trying to fix it every time he was like,
Yeah.
why'd you do it? They would try to fix it.
And I was like, stop trying to fix it. Just stop.
So how long did this deal take from start to finish?
He was working on it, I think, prior for me getting involved. But I think when I got involved, maybe 45 days
Okay.
for everything.
Yeah, something like that.
Not
That's a
too
bit-
bad.
Yeah.
But we ended up closing on the property, and they had to give me a $67,000 check.
Yeah.
Which
You got
is
So
great.
they gave you money.
Yeah, they gave me money at closing.
Wow.
And it was a great property, 67K off the top. The city gave you some money for facelifting it.
Yeah, so I'm still waiting on Fort Worth. You can see all these other facade checks that I've gotten. A lot of other cities move a lot faster, but love city of Fort Worth. They're getting
Yeah.
it done. Everything's processed, so I should be getting that check here in like the next week. But,
And then we had something with the roof where we also did we get a new roof on there, or they had
yeah,
insurance go
yeah,
out?
Yeah, they had insurance go
Nice.
out, so they got me a roof as well.
Nice.
Which I put the terms in the contract. A lot of people don't ask for that, and I'm like,
Yeah.
well, you have insurance.
Yeah.
Put in a claim. I'll
Sure.
gladly pay the deductible if they're going to put a new $100,000 roof.
Mm-hmm.
I would gladly pay the $2,500.
100%.
Yeah, no kidding.
And there's one piece of advice that I want to give everybody that I personally learned from Jake himself, guys, is every single thing. I have to say it, even if you want to fart, you have to put it in writing. Everything. You did not let a single. It was pretty funny, right? I hope they laugh behind the scenes.
I laughed a little
Every
bit.
single thing that you said, it was like, get it in writing.
Yeah.
Smart.
Well, I'll tell you what is I used to be a smaller player in the space, and I have learned, and a lot of people that will learn, that in anything, criminal or civil or any business, I don't care what people promise you. Just like the car salesman, where they're like, oh, buy the car, pay this, come back next week, I'll detail it, and I'll give you some brand new rims. And you show up and they're like, did you have that in the contract? So I've learned a long time ago that anything anybody says means absolutely nothing if you don't have it in writing.
Wow.
Which is why not only did we get the leases, but we made them sign a certified rent roll.
Yes.
Which says not only do we have the leases, but you are guaranteeing that these leases are correct and you can't blame nobody else.
I have to say, and I'm saying it on air, some stuff that he did, I was like, do we really have to do that? It was like we already got them to sign that there's no, for example, the estoppel forms. We already got them to sign that. Then Jake was like, get this, them to sign this, each tenant. Then each tenant signed it, acknowledging their lease. Then he goes, we also want it certified. So we already got what we want, but then he wanted again certified.
Nice.
And I'm going to ask you on that. Was it somebody behind you kind of giving you this guidance or push of make sure of this, or is it like a gut where you've had bad experiences or things where you just knew you needed to do this?
Yeah, everything that I have ever learned, I learned the hard way.
Yeah.
So I've had people lie about rents. I've had people lie about tenants' leases and how long they're going to be there. I've had them lie about how good they're paying.
Nice.
Yeah, people will tell you, yeah, they paid me $1,000 a month and never missed a payment, never been a day late. You find out they're a squatter; they're not even a tenant.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's
That's hilarious.
it's just a lot of covering your butt
Yeah.
and doing due diligence.
Smart.
And so in the end, we got the building at a great price. We got it at an A cap when
Nice.
going rate in the area is like a 6 or a 7. We got it.
Would you have bought? I'm sorry to cut you off. Would you have bought it if you didn't see the value add opportunity?
No,
There you go.
because
That's what I want everyone to know.
there's a lot of companies out there that would love to buy 5 caps, 6 caps, 7 caps all day long. But yes, I need the cash flow because that's what I live off of. That's what my company lives off
Nice.
of. So I do have to have the cash flow. But how I get my wealth is through the value add.
Nice.
That was powerful.
So we purchased a property. It had 6 tenants in it. I told Karam, I was like, there's no way. Watching 30 days, every one of these tenants aren't going to be paying. There's no way they're going to pay.
Yeah.
And I will tell you this, I was wrong. Because every one of them tenants was paying. Every single one. There was one that kept paying late and would get later. And I didn't want to mess with the building yet because you
Yeah.
know I have a lot of projects going on.
100%.
And so I want to cash flow this until I finish some other
Smart.
projects and then come to it. And then finally I was like, look, I can't deal with you being this late this often. And so I honestly did her a favor because she'd been paying rent for a year and hadn't even opened her business yet.
Wow.
And
I remember we spoke about something like
Yeah.
that. Was that the one
Remember
who?
the
Yeah, was that
big
the one who
one in
had
the
like
middle?
stuff in there, but you're like, it doesn't look like it's ever open?
Yeah. And
Oh.
so Luckily enough, I got the cash flow the whole time, but
Good job.
she turned over the keys. She was heartbroken at first, but everybody agreed later on, including her cousin, who was another tenant, that it was really in her best interest.
Nice.
And I ended up leasing that without doing anything to the inside for double and turning it to triple net.
Now, one thing that I want to touch up on is you were talking about you converted the lease to a triple net lease, which I want to give some value also to the audience watching. Prior leases, I think they were gross leases.
Correct.
Right? Gross leases in general, guys, for those who don't know, essentially the landlord wants the least responsibility, right, on a property. You don't want to have to deal with if property taxes go up. You don't want to have to deal with if there's common issues on the property, if insurance goes up, all that. So what you prefer is a triple net lease. A gross lease, you have to inherit the problems or the cost that goes up. A triple net lease, the tenants take all those, right? So if the taxes went up on the building 10 grand next year, all the tenants are going to have to do that on like a pro rata share. They're all going to pay those expenses. So were all the leases converted to triple net from that building?
Not yet, because I still have a lot of those tenants. I'm just now working on transitioning through that. Like I said,
you don't get worried. I'm sorry to cut you off. You don't get worried when you pay what you paid, and then the city says, "Oh, you bought it for X amount." Then they go and they raise the taxes. Then you have to take that hit on the taxes, and it messes your cash on cash and your cash flow.
That's something you got to worry about. But if only the government actually paid that much attention to what the government does, then it would work that way.
Yeah.
But I would trade all day long for the government to be that good at anything.
Really?
Wow.
But
because I thought when a deed falls into the system, they get an alert. Hey, this property was sold. They'll look at the deed. They'll try to get the price, and then bang, here's a new valuation.
Yeah, of course they're gonna know what I bought it for, which is why a lot of times whenever I'm selling a property, people are like, "What are your property taxes? How much you pay on insurance?" I'm like, so weird that you asked that, because that's not what you're going to pay.
Yeah.
But that's a whole part of learning as you grow.
That is huge. Touch on that a little more, please.
So
someone buying a building.
So if some grandma bought a building 70 years ago and her property taxes are based off of the county not doing a great job increasing taxes over time.
Okay.
Then like on that fourplex. I think the guy's taxes on the building, they were valuing the property at $80,000 for a fourplex.
Wow.
And that's just because the guy's never done anything with it. Well, I know whenever I buy it, they're going to be like, "Hey, this new guy bought it. What's the purchase price?" If I pay cash for it, then they don't have to know what I bought it for, but then they're going to go out and guess themselves.
Yep.
So we already know how that goes.
Good job.
So whenever I run my numbers, I run on base off of what I think they're going to pull comps at.
Very, very good point. Yeah. So I bought a triplex, and this triplex was purchased in 2018 or 19. Paid for it $300. It was valued it was a triplex. Each unit was valued at, I think, 45 or 50, right? So you talk
way
about,
under.
Yeah, way under. And I bought it way under market. Its real value was 150, 160. So I was like, I'll make 150, 200 on the deal. Went in there, rents were 700, 800 per unit. Gave them notices, raised it. Some stayed, some left. I remodeled the ones that left, refinanced, did a cash out on it. And then I ended up selling it 8 months ago, maybe.
Okay.
So did the cash out. So here's a funny story. I called a guy. His name is Ben Mala.
I know of Ben. I don't know Ben.
Have
I know
to.
of Ben.
You have to.
Ben's a good name.
Yeah, Ben, yeah. So Ben Mala is worth $250 million. YouTube channel, heavy guy in the hotel industry. And he had this option where I follow him when he had like 1 subscriber. And I love him, his personality. He knows the game. He's a player. He actually does it. So I saw that he has a $250 for an hour phone call or 30-minute phone call. So I was like, $250 to speak with a quarter billionaire?
That's too cheap.
Yeah, that's
I was
way
offended
too cheap.
for him.
Way too cheap.
I'm offended for him because
Yeah.
I don't know that I would take somebody's phone call for that.
Yeah. Heck
So
no.
so I book it and I call and we start talking. And I'm like, I got this triplex and I'm going to be selling it. I may lose some money on the sale. And then he starts asking me questions. And I was like, I did a cash out refinance. I got good money out of it. But I'm going to lose on the sale. He goes, what? You want to do a cash out refinance and you want to benefit on the sale and profit? He goes, you already took your money up front. So he's like, you can't make it on both ends.
Sure.
You got to maybe take a hit on the sale because you juiced the asset for the cash out. I was like, he's right. COVID came, got blessed, pulled out with 20K profit on top of the cash out refi.
Yeah.
Right? So that was huge though, because the 45 to 55K valuation per unit when I closed went up to 115 per unit.
Wow.
Yeah.
My cash on cash was 23% and it went down to 18%. Still very good, but the reality was it dipped me. And imagine if I paid 14, if it was at a 14 cap, for example, and I went down to a 9 cap. I'm not going to hold a 9 cap 1982 building. It's just going to have too much issues for me. So anyone who's buying real estate, what's so important is that when you buy it, look at the current insurance, the current property taxes, but do know it could potentially double based off of what you're paying for it.
Sure.
So the leases that were on the property, gross leases, you want to convert those to triple net leases. So if the taxes go up, insurance goes up, the tenants have to pay for that.
How does that transition take place? How do you go from a gross lease to a triple net?
Well, first off, most of these tenants know that they were getting lucky having a gross lease, because
Sure.
it's a huge mistake, in my opinion, for anybody with a commercial property to have a gross lease unless it's an office building. And you would still have your CAM charges.
Even office buildings are trying to convert, but it's a little complicated.
Yeah, it's complicated, and I recommend that they convert. But right now, how does it make sense if you are, as a tenant, say you're Starbucks and you want my building for 30 years, and I say, okay, I'll lock you in at X amount a month for 30 years, but then my property taxes, like right now, where prices are skyrocketing.
Yeah.
If they're locked in to 30 years, they're winning.
Yeah.
And I'm losing because my property taxes are going up because my value is still going up. How do you protect yourself from that? Well,
Beautiful.
the way you protect yourself is, hey, you can have this extremely good deal. So on a triple net, there will be lower rents because they are taking on
Absolutely.
all those
They're
things.
taking a pretty good liability for you.
They're taking all the variables.
Exactly.
And so
exactly.
I know exactly what my return is going to be for however long the lease is. There's no question about it. And so, like, I've got one in Fort Worth on the same street as the other one.
Nice.
And it's a title loan company.
Nice.
They pay me a great return. I bought that at a 19 cap.
Good job.
And
Wow.
Nice.
that's the one where I was telling you about, where I almost got in a lawsuit over it because they thought they sold it to me too cheap.
Well,
But-
that's
So
their
they're like,
fault.
we
Yeah.
sold it too cheap. We
Yeah.
want the property back.
Right.
But they told me the price.
Yeah.
But
Nice.
with that one, they've been there 20 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
They've been there 20 years.
The tenants
And-
have been in there for 20
Yeah,
years.
the tenants have
Yeah.
been there for 20 years. They're on a 5-year lease that they just renewed on, and then they have an option to renew for 2 more terms of 5 years,
Okay.
2 or 3 more. And so they've been there a long time. They literally just remodeled the building. I don't know if you saw where I posted a picture of that.
They're not going anywhere, basically.
Yeah, they're not going anywhere. And they pay me great money. I get $42.50 a month.
Nice.
Wow.
All the time. And
I love the transparency, by the way.
the difference is
4250 triple net.
triple net.
So they pay 4250 plus they cover the.
Correct.
Nice.
The property tax and the insurance. And the other part is also the repairs. And so I still cover the roof, and I still cover the outside structural dwelling.
Yeah.
And the difference is, for people who are like, oh, you're just trying to be cheap. No. Because think about it, if it's a restaurant and they have people that are constantly flushing lady products,
Yeah.
or if they're dumping food down the drains and I got to keep sending a plumber out there, how is that fair to me?
Yeah.
So
100%.
this way, they're responsible for any of the issues that they cause. I obviously try to protect the building with the roof and
Which
the
is
outside wall.
your job is. So we have we signed a lease 2-3 months ago to a nail salon, and they're like, we don't want to pay you triple nets. It's not our building. It's
Go
your
somewhere
building.
else.
Yeah. They're like, it's not our building. It's your building. I'm like, but you're using the building.
Yeah.
You're making money from the building. You're benefiting from the building. So you kind of sometimes have to explain to them why they got to pay it and why the increases happen. The toughest thing, though, is to have a gross lease. You ask the question, how do you convert? It's literally as simple as reaching out to the tenant and saying, hey, we're converting your lease to a triple net.
Gotcha.
If they're cool and they don't trip about it, they'll sign off on the conversion.
Yeah.
If they are smart and they wake up and they want to be like, no, we have a good lease, let's take advantage, they'll deny that. So you have to wait till the end of their lease.
Gotcha.
And then at that time, you give them a triple net, they cry, either they leave or they stay. If business is good, they're not leaving on a $400 increase.
Sure.
So that's
So
kind
it's
of
a
the
pretty-
game. on that.
Well, in my opinion, and to be transparent on this, I don't think it's fair to not do a triple net. And the reason why is, like I said, if I don't do a triple net, I'll give you a modified gross lease. but your rent's going to be a lot higher.
Sure.
Got it.
And so I'm taking, no matter what, I'm not going to take risks for things that you may do or your customers may do.
Beautiful.
I can't control that if you have like bratty kids that are in the bathroom kicking the toilets because they don't want to flush it with their hand. And so
Little savages.
you know, I own a plumbing company.
I was about to say that. So you know a lot about this bathroom stuff and plumbing
I own a
stuff.
plumbing company, and there was this bar that used to call us out every single day. And the people that were drunk, you know, they didn't want to touch the flush handle that people had been peeing on from being drunk. So people would kick it, and they kept breaking the toilet. And like he kept arguing with me, is there not a better toilet you can put? Like, no, there's not a
Stainless
bulletproof
steel.
There's not a bulletproof model out here to stop drunk people from attaching the thing.
Kicking
Like
it,
you just need to control people in your building.
Yeah.
And like there's no way the landlord would take all that liability because
100%.
it's something that your business is there. They're the ones that can control it. And so it's not fair for me to do that. And if I'm going to pay the property tax, then why would I give you a good lease?
True.
You know, I want to keep you on month to month, so that way if my property tax goes up, I can jack up your rent. But you don't want
100%.
that as a tenant. You want to be on a long lease. You want to be on a 3-year or 5-year.
You want to be stable.
Yeah, you want to be stable. Well, the only way that I can do that is if you're covering the property taxes.
See, and these are
Crazy
things you
stuff.
only learn through experience. Like I would never think about
Dude.
people
So-
kicking the toilets and all that.
So the triple net's not just fair for the landlord. It's really the best way for both because no landlord's going to give you a good lease without it.
Yeah.
I love that. We have a El Rancho client. I don't know if I should say that. El Rancho is a big business like Fiesta, but
Yeah.
on a smaller scale.
El Rancho.
Exactly. That's
Yeah,
literally how it's
yeah,
said.
yeah.
And this is a client of mine who I helped sell their house here. They have, so they own a good portion of El Rancho. They had 4 physical locations here. They sold that portion to another family member. They relocated to Austin, and they leased out a space in Austin for like 2-3 years, and it was a dead center, and they took 60,000 square feet. As soon as they got in there, tenants started to flock.
Wow.
Attraction, right? You get an
Yeah.
anchor, and then people start getting attracted. So the whole center leased from a dump to 100% lease. And then when the lease ended, the landlord jacked up their rent. He said almost triple.
Jeez.
Where the hell are they going to go?
Yeah.
Their whole clientele was built there.
Wow.
And he calls me. He goes, is there anything we can do? I was like, the lease is the lease. Lease ended.
Damn.
You had to prepare prior to signing that first lease, guaranteeing renewals at certain rates, because then you get played at the end. Tenants don't want short term. Short term means that if the business does good in 1 year, what's going to happen is the landlord's going to see it. There's bad landlords. They'll be like, this person's making money. There's no way they'll leave. Let's raise rents. They take advantage of them.
And see, I try to educate. I find myself trying to mentor my tenants a lot too because I'm a business owner.
Nice.
I try to help them with their business, but a lot of times my tenants don't want a long lease, and I'm like, well, how long do you plan on being there? And they're like, hopefully forever. And I'm like, trying to explain to them, well, you're making a mistake because the longer the lease, the more you're protected from inflation and everything.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, sometimes they get it, and sometimes they don't believe me. So
Because you're at the landlord aspect, so they're probably like, this guy just wants to make money, but you're coming in as being honest with them. We have a tenant where we did a fixed triple net for them for 5 years. That was the only way we can close the deal. And what that means is triple nets are at $8 a foot, and for 5 years it can't go up. So if next year it became $9, all the other tenants pay their portion. This tenant wasn't going to pay their portion, only because they invested $300,000 in the space, only because they signed a 10-year lease, and only because they gave us a good rental rate. Everything in business and in real estate specifically is all negotiable.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as one and done. There's no such thing as anything. 6 tenants that you have, I guarantee you every lease and every tenant had a different conversation.
yeah, absolutely. Especially this latest project that we're finishing right now in Quinlan. This lady,
Ooh, getting in Quinlan.
She's probably going to watch this too. So this woman has negotiated me to death. I will give her props, and if I ever negotiate a contract again, I'm bringing her.
Oh my
go.
God.
Yeah. Love it.
Okay, Quinlan.
Yes.
So we got some jokes that he's going to be the future mayor of Quinlan.
Okay.
Hopefully the mayor of Quinlan doesn't get salty. He bought a lot of downtown Quinlan, Texas. You can search it up. Small city, would you say?
Yeah, it's a small city. However, it's on one of the largest lakes, and it is
Lake Taquini or something like that?
Tawakoni.
Tawakoni.
Yeah, Lake Tawakoni, and it is the #1 fishing lake. Which this lake's huge. Let me explain. It's bigger than Lake Lewisville, and it's the size of Lake Ray Hubbard and Lake Lavon combined.
Oh wow.
That is
And
interesting.
It's the #1 fishing lake in the United States.
How did they not bring much development there? Like,
It's not there yet.
It's coming that way real fast. So I got in literally at the perfect time. But
How far is Quinlan from like
45
downtown Dallas?
minutes.
Okay, wow. So you're less than an hour.
Yeah, so I'm 20 minutes from Rockwall,
Okay.
and Rockwall, I remember it used to be like the outskirts.
Yeah.
But what I love about Quinlan is it's a hometown. It's kind of like where you're watching those Lifetime movies, and they've got the downtown with the Christmas lights. It's that kind of town.
Nice.
Wow.
And everybody does know everybody. Most of the people that work for the city of Quinlan, including the mayor, follow me on Facebook. So,
Nice. So it's real close. Like it's real close people to each other.
yeah, absolutely. But you're 45 minutes from all the action. I really got tired of being in Dallas and, everybody trying to cut everybody's heads off, and really the toxicity and the busyness. I needed to have like a space.
Love it.
And so I went out there, and I had lived there previously. It's a good town, and like I said, it's 45 minutes from Dallas.
So check this out for everybody who doesn't know. By the way, the people who are watching this right now, if you're getting any value, hit that free like button. Lets us know that you guys are enjoying this. Comment below your favorite part of this podcast. And those listening on Spotify, we appreciate you still listening. Now, people love this about me. Let me tell you why. I take juice out of the people on this podcast. So me and Ben would do podcasts every single time. I take a lot of insight from him and like information out of him that he doesn't really maybe voluntarily give. You have to kind of like take it out. So people enjoy that because they would like to know more about him. And then I'm gonna do the same for you. So you purchased, let's just say plus or minus 10,000 square feet in downtown Quinlan, right? Are you able to speak numbers on that?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
How much did you purchase the 10,000 square feet?
So I purchased
Commercial building, by the way, and it's multiple buildings, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So I purchased 5 buildings, which is almost half the entire south side of the downtown.
Nice.
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful downtown. It really wasn't. And then when I moved out there, man, like I said, it's all coming that way. So a lot of things change fast.
Did you buy that in the intent of like, okay, this is a beautiful area. I live here. I know that there's demand. I want to make this downtown in the city better.
Yes and no. So it really wasn't a business play. It was not. And, I've had arguments with some people in the town about that because some people think that I just came to make money.
Oh, it wasn't a business play.
It was not a business play. Ooh. So I live in the area, and if I want to get a cup of coffee, I have to drive 45 minutes some direction.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of business in our town, but there's not a Starbucks yet. There's all the big box stores, Walmart, McDonald's, Burger King, all that good stuff.
Which those are almost the standard. Like you can get that almost anywhere.
Yeah.
I don't think a city's made it when they have that. I think that's just if you
They've
got
made it once they have a Chick-fil-A.
I do agree with you on that, and a Starbucks.
Yeah.
If it's this is something I want to keep on the low. When I'm in an area I don't know and I see a Starbucks, I feel safe.
Yeah, there you go.
I swear to God.
Like,
I
I'm
can use a
home.
clean restroom. I can get the strawberry acai. I can sit on the couch and they'll never ask me why are you still here.
Yeah.
And I'll feel like my ride's on the way to pick me up if
Good
I'm in a
point.
dangerous area.
Good point.
So when Quinlan gets a Chick-fil-A and a Starbucks, I think you'll be made it.
We'll stop by.
And check this. So he bought 10,000 square feet in downtown Quinlan, like you said, more of the south side. And how many acreage did you purchase in Quinlan?
Yeah,
for personal use.
So first, I bought my property out there is 106 acres.
Nice.
That's a big.
That's a lot of land.
Lot of land.
Yeah.
$3,000 an acre.
Okay.
So
3 on 100, so 300, like 30 grand.
Yeah, 330,000, something like that.
Did you know that was a steal when you bought it, or is that a steal in your opinion?
Oh yeah. So
Big
as of
steal.
right now, for 1 acre, which of course, like with what's going on with the market, things are going up and up and up. But I'd say last year an acre was going for 50,000 an acre. Right now they're listing it.
Do the math.
Dude,
Right
More
now
than
they're
10x.
listing it at 75,000 an acre.
3 to 5, you're easily 15x.
And so
12 to
Around
15x,
there.
yeah. That is wild. Can I have 1 acre?
So
I told him, I was like, if I bring my RZR Polaris, which I don't have one yet, I need to
Yeah.
be drifting there. So go ahead.
So-
By the way, just to let you know, Sorry, when we do the cutting off and stuff, like if I cut you guys off, I get hyped up.
He gets excited.
So
He
when
gets
I'm
excited.
every time you're
You
about to
have
say a
let
statement,
him.
I'm like, wait.
Yeah.
So okay, you're good now.
It's all right. I forgive you. All right. So I got the property. It was 106 acres, and I of course wanted to build a house on it. Wanted to build a shop on it. It had no utilities, so I had to add a well.
Ooh.
I had to add electricity. All that stuff
It's on
costs money.
septic.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I sold off, and it was kind of, there's an L-shaped road.
Okay.
So two sides of the property touched the road.
Okay.
And so I sold off some land off the back. I sold it to where I have 65 acres left. So I sold, I think,
still
42 acres. But I sold that for enough money that I got the land for free. So I own the land.
So you got
free and
65
clear.
acres for free.
I got 65 acres for free. It paid for my house, and it paid for my shop, and it paid for my little guest house.
My guy's living good.
This is
Yeah.
beautiful.
All
Good
for free.
job.
That's amazing.
Very,
So I
good
got my
job.
property for free. So
Very good job.
And how long of a span was this? So you bought it, and then how long did it take for you to sell it so that you're getting all this stuff essentially for free?
I sold off the back part. I didn't want to do it, and I kept playing back and forth in my
Sure.
head whether I want to do it, because of course I want the money and the free
Was the
property.
back part the higher valued?
No.
Would you say it was like on a freeway? It was closer to the street?
No, it was actually lesser value just because that was on private roads that weren't maintained so well.
Got it.
Gotcha.
Nice. So I don't think it's a bad move.
Yeah, it's just, of course, I want to have the more land, the better.
Yeah.
You don't necessarily want a neighbor back there.
But yeah,
By the way, you were like what?
one day, then I was sitting there and I was like, look, when's the last time I've even gone to that part of the property? And it had been a while
That's
because
a pretty good question. How do you get around the property?
I have a side-by-side.
nice.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, I've got
So
a
you're
side-by-side.
familiar when I was telling you about
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
So I was like, man, it's been so long since I've been back there. COVID was just coming, so you're kind of so like uneasy about what's going on. And I picked it up. I picked up the property with a hard money lender, and I was like, you know what? Let me cash out of this without having to use my own money. Let me cash out where I just own everything free and clear.
You picked up the 106 acres with a hard money lender. Oh, was it a long term, 12 months?
Yeah, it was a 12-month, but my hard money lender is a great friend of mine. So
He hooks
There
it
you
up.
go.
yeah, I don't really have any specific terms.
Nice.
Wow.
That's pretty
Wow,
good.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Nice. So you ended up selling it off. You paid off the hard money loan.
Yeah, and I sold it a little bit cheaper. I bought it for $3,000 an acre. I sold it at like $24,000 an acre. Only
Just a
because,
little 8x.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could have got more, but I deed restricted it to where they could only build one property per 3 acres, and that's because
And they accepted that.
yeah. And
Good
so
job.
the reason why is everything's going to get developed one day, and I don't want a bunch of people that live side by side living behind me one day telling me how I got to live.
Yeah.
So and I deed restricted it where the houses had to be a minimum of 3,000 square feet. So
Okay.
Deed restricted meaning that when he sold it to that person who bought it, he has to follow the deed which states one house per minimum 3 acres.
yeah.
They got no choice. It's not even a city thing. It's a deed thing now.
Yeah,
You know what
and
I'm saying?
minimum 3,000 square feet per house.
Nice.
So they're building nice stuff.
And so
Really
that
good.
way, one, I can kind of control who's going to be behind me. Hopefully they'll be a little bit country having 3 acres, and hopefully they'll be fancy enough that I don't have to worry about them hopping my fence trying to steal my stuff.
Nice. Nice.
It's hopeful, but it's a good 8x money return.
Yeah.
And if with all the money that you're making, if you had to do an 8-foot masonry wall on 65 acres, I think you can afford that.
I hope I don't have to do it.
It's like a probably a million
Before
plus.
COVID, that was $25 a foot,
Yeah.
square foot, not linear. Yeah.
Wow.
Now post COVID, you're double.
I bet it's $50. Yeah.
So what are they doing right now? That land that you sold, is it just like one person living there? Are there
Nobody
multiple
lives
people?
there.
Oh, nice.
It
Nice.
was 2 police officers. I
Okay.
can't tell if they're a couple or not.
Gotcha.
But these 2 guys,
Oh, the 2 guys.
they bought it. They said they were going to hunt on it. I've never seen them out there.
Oh, that's awesome.
I don't know what they're doing with it, but
So you got to know them personally, like you met them and stuff too.
no, we've tried to meet up, but it just never worked out.
Yeah.
But we text each other a lot.
Nice.
They'll ask me questions and things like that. But
That's real cool. I want to touch real quick just to revisit Quinlan. So you bought 10,000 plus or minus square feet. And what was the cost on that? I know that we said that, but
200, and I'm always being honest, but I've got the worst memory in the world, so I may be always off by 10 grand.
10 grand up or down,
Yeah,
plus or
plus or
minus.
minus.
But say 230,000 ish.
Nice. And then you did on all of them facelifts, remodels in the interior, or some?
So then I also had them do a roof claim. So I got
Good job.
a roof check for
Probably a lot.
I don't even remember.
20,
That's
30,
what
40?
Yeah, something.
Nice.
I don't know. I should remember. And on that one, the seller was mad that he had to give me the roof check. And I was like, but you agreed to this. And he was like, I just feel like that I'm giving you free money. And I'm like, well, it goes to the roof that you should have fixed.
Yeah.
But so I got the properties, and like one building he was leasing out for $300 a month that somebody was only using as storage.
Okay.
Another one was being leased out for $600 a month, which was being used as storage. Another one was $550 a month, which was a very nice hair salon. Like, this lady took pride of ownership for sure.
I love that. That's really
and
nice.
put a lot of money in the building, and the building was nice. That one alone, to me, was worth what I paid for all of them.
Nice.
And
So you were cash flowing from day one.
yeah.
Nice.
Had to
And
be.
then
nice.
and then there was another one that was empty, and technically the lady that was paying $600 had 7,000 square feet and was paying $600 a month. And during COVID,
Oh
he
my
lowered
gosh.
her rent from $600 to $200.
Where the hell do
my
you lower
goodness.
from 6 to 2?
This sounds like a super country town, but
Yeah.
I know it's
And-
not.
That's
And
hilarious.
well, what it was is he was working any deal possible. First off, this was this guy's mother's properties, and when I say this guy alone is probably 50 or 60.
Okay.
So I don't know. His mother's probably like in her 80s. I
Yeah.
never met her,
Yeah.
but it was his mother's properties, and he was doing anything with the numbers to not have to put a dollar in the property. And it's all about mindset. And people, hey, I don't want to spend this. I don't want to spend this. I don't want to spend this. And I had that same mindset too before I got into business. And then I learned that as much as all these people going out there and telling you save money, be cheap, works whenever you don't own a business. When you own a business, I've learned spend the money and get the value out of it.
Beautiful.
And
Nice.
one of those buildings alone had a roof leak that leaked so bad that you could open a tub wide open and it wouldn't leak as much as this roof did.
Wow.
And this guy would just lower rents. And I'm like, you could have fixed this for literally $500.
It's crazy how some people run their business, man.
I agree. a
Yeah.
million
If it
percent.
cost me $1,000, I could have got my money back in the first month of having raised rents.
You'd call those guys slumlords? Would you relay them as that?
That's what other people would call them.
Yeah.
I'm not going to call anybody
He's a
anything.
nice
Have you
guy.
been called a slumlord before?
I have been called a slumber before to my contractor as he was fixing up a property. So
What?
nobody said it to me directly.
Oh, okay.
Somebody, because we buy properties that are distressed.
Yeah.
And then when I buy the distressed property that these people lived in that looked like trash for 20 years, and I'm trying to fix it up, I'm the slumlord. And I'm like, but I'm the one that's fixing it.
Yeah.
The landlord that owned it for
Never
20
touched
years
it.
and never fixed it, he would be the landlord. Yeah, I bought it, but I'm fixing it.
Yeah. Makes
So-
no
so,
sense.
yeah, it makes no sense. But
That's hilarious. So let me ask you this. What's the cheapest property you've ever bought?
I mean,
I'm scared you say like $1,000.
well, it depends. So
I actually picked something up for free.
if you understand subject to properties,
Okay.
I did purchase a $180,000 house by taking over a $48,000 note by giving this guy $4,000.
Wow.
So you paid $4,000 essentially, and then you paid the monthly mortgage.
Yeah,
over him.
I paid
Jeez.
$4,000. Took over his $390 mortgage. It already had a tenant at paying $700. I replaced that tenant with one that was paying $1,800, and it had $130,000 in equity. So I paid $4,000 to get $130,000 in equity.
So pretty much he's just getting out of a bad situation, getting a little bit of money, and then you're taking it over.
yeah,
Yeah.
the guy was in bankruptcy.
Gotcha.
In
So
the simplest,
you came to
in the
save the day.
Literally, in the simple. People don't get this. Investors, at least most of them, are good. They're doing good for the city and for the person who they're buying the property from. They just seem bad because everybody hates people who make money for some reason.
Well, and that was an investor that I bought it from.
Wow.
So he had owned
Was he a
multiple
wholesaler?
properties. No, he owned multiple properties, and he had a business. And I don't know the full understanding of what went wrong, but a lender connected him to me, and
Okay.
and was like, "Hey, this guy can help you." And like, don't get me wrong. Yeah, I got $130,000 in equity, but this guy probably had already gotten his return plus some.
True.
Sure.
So,
True. And in the simplest way, subject to, how would you explain it?
Subject to, basically, I do not take over. A lot of people explain it wrong. They say you take over the loan. I didn't take over the loan. The loan stays in his name.
You just cover his cost.
I just pay the bill.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And so I changed the card on the auto pay to me. The difference is the deed goes in my name. So I own the property. He owns the loan.
Nice.
And so it puts him at a lot of risk, which is why I don't teach this process to a lot of people.
Okay.
There's a lot of people that go out there and teach it to people. You could really destroy some lives.
Yeah.
Wow.
But I don't want to do that.
Dropping gems.
That's huge.
I would, because they take all the risk.
Yeah.
I take zero risk. The deed's in my name. I own the property. If I don't make your payments, it destroys your credit. Doesn't hurt me
But
at
they
all.
they can come because they're superior lien and foreclose on you, and you just pay it off.
Correct.
If I'm not mistaken.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah.
But I don't like to teach it to people because of what other people could do. But I'm going to do the right thing
You're gonna do the
because
right-
I want you to refer me to the next person, to the next person,
Love
to the
that.
next person.
Good job. That's huge. So you guys are getting that wholesale value, the commercial real estate value, the value add value. It's too much value in this podcast,
Yeah,
right?
man.
But
5-letter word.
Awesome.
But
That's great.
to go back, you were saying what's the cheapest property? I also have
It's coming back to him now.
I have a
Yeah.
commercial property that I'm under contract right now to sell.
Mm-hmm.
I bought it for $25,000, and let me tell you right now, it's 1,500 square feet in downtown Terrell. The lot value alone is worth more than double.
Nice.
1,500 square feet. If you get 10 a foot, 15 grand a year on 1,200. You cash flow. If you're netting 800, you'll make your money back in a year and a half, maybe,
Yeah.
just as is.
Yeah,
Pretty good.
Well, the building's rough. I mean,
Oh,
rough.
okay. How much do
So,
you think you got to put in?
I mean, if I really wanted to go cheap on it, 40 grand. If somebody really wanted to make it like a perfect building, 100 grand.
So 125 all in.
Yeah.
That's a commercial building too.
But I've already had somebody immediately say, "Hey, I'll give you 1,500 a month if you can give this to me in any condition where I can get a CO."
Wow.
Good job.
But I bought it for 25 grand. I was going to fix it up and lease it out, but the city is so difficult to work with. They fought me every step of the way. I made beautiful plans. I mean, I was going to make this like the gym.
Wow.
And
Why are they giving you pushback?
so Terrell is not the nicest city, but it's a huge city. I
Okay.
mean, they're a lot bigger than people think they are.
I would think so.
They're getting a lot of new developments out there. They got a lot of brand new A-class getting built out there.
Really?
Yeah.
I had
And-
287 acres for sale there for 2.5, and then the owners took it off. They have it just as ag exempt.
Where was it?
It's on Country Road 155, something like that.
Yeah.
I'll talk to you about it, and I have a
Yeah,
flyer and everything.
Yeah, you might want to come back around on that because
Really?
Yeah.
Are
Hey,
they worried?
We had go ahead.
Go ahead. You're
We
fine.
had offers from people who wanted to do who wanted to grow what do they call it, marijuana and stuff on there, because they were like, it's getting legal soon, so they were trying to buy it, hold it, and then do that.
Sure.
He's done a lot of improvements on it. What were you gonna say?
Yeah. I kind of lost my train of
No,
thought.
you're
It's
good.
okay.
My bad.
Everybody that I know that got in the marijuana business lost money.
Wow.
I had so many people that immediately were like, "Hey, it's the new gold rush. Let's buy land. Let's do this." They went to Oklahoma and they opened factories and all
Yeah.
this, and every single person lost money.
I can't stand that chasing of the buy the Bitcoin, buy the NFT, dude. I can't
By
stand
the
none of
time
that.
you're chasing it, the fat is already.
I hate
it's
it.
already come and gone.
Like I got into cryptos and I put in some money and then it just gave me headaches and I was like, let me buy some NFTs and it gave me some, and I'm like, just take your money, go do what you do, real estate, go make your flips, go make
Yeah.
your deals, and just
Do your own thing.
build
Don't
off of
chase
there.
the
More
trend.
peace of mind. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
I have 6 figures in crypto,
Nice.
I think that's okay when you're able to afford
but
to
I
risk
don't.
it.
But I don't trade it.
You just sit on
holding
it.
Yeah, I put it in there diversified, and I don't care how much it goes down. I don't touch it. It's like real estate. You're gonna sell all your houses when the market goes down.
You want to
No.
tell us what cryptos you're in?
Yeah.
I definitely have some Bitcoin.
Nice.
I have a lot of Ethereum.
Was this recently
Nice.
purchased?
No. I got
2012.
No, I wish. No, I got in 2016. Right,
dude,
right,
that's good.
Yeah.
right before the first. I won't say the first, but before the biggest. boom.
There's no way.
Yeah.
2017 was the biggest boom. December.
Yeah.
There's no way you held if you saw those profits.
Yeah. No, I didn't sell.
You just
He's a
held.
hodler.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I started out with $10,000 in there. The $10,000 tripled. I pulled my initial investment, and I've been free rolling ever since.
Good job. I love the strategy.
Yeah.
Very, very good job. There's a lot of things going on in the real estate world, the market in general, the dangers, the uncertainties and stuff. are you selling certain assets today because you feel a recession is to come, interest rates will skyrocket, prices may go down? Or are you just playing the game like you did 3, 4, 5 years ago? What makes sense? I move what I need to 1031 at 1031 and just flow like that. Or do these news and articles and market shifts make you worry?
Or is it a mix of both?
No, I don't care about the news because the news is only out there to make people react. 99% of it's not true or exaggerated.
Yeah.
Everybody who's in the space understands where the market's going. Do I think that we are in a place where it's becoming unsustainable? Absolutely. But so was California. You know, California.
So was California.
Yes.
Okay.
So California was a Republican state. It was very affordable, and people flocked there. And, you know, for the past 40, 50 years has been growing. It took 50 years to pop. You know, we've only been really, really booming for 10 years here.
This is pretty scary what you're saying, because you said something about that, where you said we've been the hidden gem.
Yeah.
And
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we have.
And you said we're only getting started.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I think that we have a lot of growth. Where I'm getting nervous is we are bound to become a blue state, which is going to change a lot of the politics. And when I say that, I'm not talking about abortion and drugs and all that. I don't care about any of that.
Just
it has nothing
business.
to do with me. Just business.
Yeah.
And I want to do business in a red state.
Ooh.
And so I want to do business in a state where I know that I can evict somebody that doesn't pay rent.
Yeah.
And so even if you are a Democrat, even if you have voted for Biden and Obama, I promise you, you do not want to own rental properties in a
Okay.
blue state.
Interesting.
So
This is hilarious.
yeah, it has nothing to do with the presidents.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with the governors. It has to do with whether or not your money is secure.
Has to
And-
do with business.
Yeah, it has to do with business.
Yep.
So I don't care about the politics stuff. You'll never see me wear a Trump shirt or a Biden shirt. You'll see
But
me wear
you'd
a
wear.
two-dash.
I was about to say that.
Yeah,
but
wear a
you'd,
two-dash.
but you'd,
Wearing
but
his-
you'd wear
repping
a
his
two-dash
brand.
shirt.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
People make fun of me because I'll even show up on a first date wearing a two-dash shirt.
Really?
And they're like, "You didn't want to dress up?" And I'm like, offended. I'm like, "You don't
This
think
is-
that this?
this
I'm
is me
like,
dressing
this
up."
pays my bills."
Yeah. Yeah.
This is the most
My guy.
expensive embroidery that I could ever
Yeah.
get. I think you should get a custom suit and two-dash it all on the interior.
Yeah.
Can we make that bet? You know what bet we have right now
What's that?
is when this channel hits 10,000 subscribers, Ben put a bet that I have to go buy a Rolex.
Yeah. I'm telling you, he needs to step his watch game up. So
He's telling me I have to
Yeah.
do that, so I have to
Yeah.
jump on that. And we're gonna dive into cars, watches, expensive things. We know you're a millionaire, so we want to know where you're spending. So what's your thoughts about buying luxury items, I guess, in whole, like watches, cars, and that stuff?
Well, I can tell you this. My last truck that I had was a 2008 Dodge Ram that people clown on me every day because they were like, "When are you going to sell this truck?"
Okay.
And one, I love the truck
Okay.
because in construction in real estate, there's construction.
Yeah.
And with construction, where people are like, "Oh, you got to have a good team. You're doing too much." Look, I got an amazing team. I have a lot of people on my team. But if you're telling me that I can make an extra 10 grand by my guys staying on the job site and me going and grabbing something for them so they don't have to stop what they're doing because it's going to kill some kind of deal, or I might fail an inspection,
Yeah.
which holds something up and might cause a problem, I'm going to go get it.
Nice.
I have no problem. I am not that fancy. Don't forget, I ate at Pancho's.
Yeah.
So, for those of you who know,
That
that's
was
a really
hilarious.
bad Mexican buffet restaurant.
Nice.
If you eat at Pancho's, then we get the point now.
Yeah. So, as much as I'd love to own a Benz,
Come on, though, you got the money,
I-
and you
I
won't
do.
even feel it. I promise. And you said okay. So what do you drive right now?
So
Give us a scoop on that.
I just got me a brand new Ford Ranger.
Okay.
Okay.
Which is
How much does that run for?
they're at 45.
Okay.
But so I
Got a deal.
But
But-
the owner financed it.
I wanted one. First, I wanted to go get a Dodge Ram.
Okay.
And I went to the dealership, and I'm fancier than I think I am. So I'm like, I don't want this Dodge. I want this Dodge
yeah.
and this.
Sure.
And then they were like, all right, it's $78,000. And the first thing that happened was I sat there, and I know you're thinking $78,000. That's the number you're thinking is $78,000.
Yeah.
That's not how my mind works.
How are you thinking?
My mind goes $78,000. I could buy a house for $78,000 that would come with $60,000 worth of equity. So now it's not 78. Now it's going to be $138,000.
Yeah.
And then the whole time I could cash flow at least $400 a month.
Yeah.
So then I'm tacking that onto it, and then I'm like, this is a $200,000 truck.
Yeah. It's,
No
one thinks like that.
Not even to mention the amount of money that I could
funny.
save on my taxes when I could depreciate the house.
Yeah.
And
At this rate, you will never buy something nice, though.
Never.
That is too funny.
That is
But
funny.
here's one thing I'm gonna have to touch on. You could a truck. So I sent, and I was telling you guys in the morning, I wired a money from Bank of America here to Bank of America in Woodbridge, Virginia. I don't even know if I said that right. To buy a Dodge Rebel 2020, 29,000 miles on it. I fell in love with the interior. It was red spec. It had a full pano roof. It had a big 12-inch dash.
And it weighed more than 6,000 pounds.
there you go, right off.
And I didn't even think of that. And then whenever I was ready to close the deal, I'm like, and it's over 6,000 pounds. I can do a full write-off on it, and there's ways to depreciate it and everything. And it was going to save me, I was thinking 5 to 20 grand, to be honest with you, on taxes is what I thought it would save me. So that was a bigger plus. I send the money off, and then as I'm driving to drop my mother-in-law off in the airport, I get the Carfax report, which I should have done before, but I took Car Gurus as a zero accident thing. And I ended up finding out it has 4 owners on it, 29,000 miles, which is low miles in my opinion, and 1 accident.
Yeah.
Instantly turned me off.
Yeah.
And if I'm correct, if it's over 6,000 pounds, you can bonus depreciate it, which means
You're
you can
right.
write off 50% of the purchase price in the first year.
Which you're right 100%. Now you have to define business, and then you have to define personal, and then do a 60-40 split. However, I thought it was even more than that. I got the impression I can take off the entire purchase price off the top because it's over 6,000 pounds. I think if it's under 6,000 pounds, you can take off 25%. But that's
what-
for another CPA.
That's what I was going to say. That's what the CPAs are for.
Yeah.
That's what the CPA. So anyways, I fell in love with it, and I had to reverse the wire because I found the accident. The ownership was too many, and I just felt iffy about it.
Yeah.
So
The search continues.
search continues. It was going to come out to like 56, 57.
I'm gonna start sending you Maseratis and Gallardos.
Yeah.
and then eventually you're gonna talk yourself into
Oh.
buying one,
Uh-huh.
and then you're gonna bring me back so you can yell at me. I would love to own something like that. And whenever I was 21, started my plumbing company, and just started making 6 figures for the first time, I went to a Ferrari dealership. I did.
Ooh.
I went up there wearing my plumbing uniform, and I said, "And look, I'm not even playing. I had $280,000 cash on me in a backpack." And I walked in there,
the backpack.
and I walked up there, and they had a Scudera, if you know what that is. They had a Scudera, which is a limited edition Ferrari. And I was like, I want to buy this car. And the guys didn't take me seriously, and they left me off, and I left. And it was the best thing that ever happened to me. So, 1, don't judge a book by the way it's dressed. That's for sure.
Beautiful.
But 2, I'm glad that I didn't do that because I could have bought a commercial property for the price of that.
With
And
the way
so-
you, the
Which
way
you did.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
way you do the numbers, honestly, and I do it like that too. It's a far-fetched deal you'll ever buy a Rolex or a car or something because that car that was 76 grand or 78 became 200 grand.
Yeah,
so
so
it's tough to justify.
So
Sometimes you got to ball out, though.
we've got a mutual friend, Donovan Ruffin, and I clown
Yeah.
on him a lot because
Donovan, I think he should, and he better be watching this, right?
Oh, he's gonna watch it. He's gonna look for any reason to troll me.
Nice.
So he's gonna be watching this video.
Nice.
All right.
But I troll him because of his Rolex because he can't take a picture where he's not like this, and like on his FaceTime stories, his Facebook, he's like,
Shots
get it in every
fired.
angle to
yeah.
get it in.
and I'm like, all right, we get it. Like you have $5,000, like
Down.
we get it. And he's got more money than that, but that's
Yeah,
what that
of
says to
course.
me. You got a Rolex, you got $5,000.
That's fine.
And so
This is probably worth more than a Rolex because it brings you a lot of business ease and stuff.
And so that's why you're going to see me with the Apple Watch because this is going to make me money. Me not missing the text that's going to make me $1 million deal is more important.
Yeah.
And so I wish they would sell some fancier faces you could download.
You can get the nice band.
Like maybe
Get
maybe Bolova, I could go to their website and like buy the NFT face. I don't know. That's in the future coming
Okay,
up.
check this out. What you're saying, Jake, I love because it's a 50-50. We took your perspective, and for those listening, there's many who have his perspective of investing it. Graham Stephan, huge on real estate, huge on YouTube, is the same thing. He doesn't justify anything that is a liability or something that depreciates.
Sure.
But on the other side, we got Ben Wegmann, Mr. Wegmann,
Yeah.
and he's a big fan about making money in business, but he's a big fan of leveling up your lifestyle.
Yeah.
Right.
And
we have a podcast called that.
Yeah.
And you're talking about the Rolexes, the Teslas, the Range Rovers. I'm talking about things that you
I like
own.
to feel the fruits of my labor, and it's a good feeling to actually like wear something like this. But when I spend money on this, it's like, oh, this is cool, but now I want to go even harder. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, I just spent $10,000 on a watch. Now I want like the $50,000 watch. Now I have to like.
Would you
grind
say it's a
even harder.
personal thing you're doing it for, or is it like, you know, you want to take the photo and look?
No,
like
I mean
got a
it's
Rolex?
like it's like a bucket list thing. Like I've always wanted a cool watch. You know what I mean? So I've like worked my ass off. Like I'm gonna reward myself now. And like I said, once I get that, it makes me want to go even harder. You know what I mean?
Nice.
So yeah.
And you're making phenomenal money, so you can afford to do that.
Sure.
Take those. I would consider, in my opinion, dumb decisions. I make them too,
Yeah.
but they're dumb decisions to make me happy. So when I
dumb
was,
to some people, but I mean it's
dumb
yeah.
to some.
Yeah.
Like, in his defense, I will say this. You know, we clown on Donovan, but I can't tell you how many people have probably done business with him because he flashes his $600
and
shoes.
that's the new
How many
thing.
people have done business with him because of his $5,000 watch? My buddy Austin Good.
His watch is $42,000. By
Yeah.
the way, he's got the limited
Yeah.
edition. I'm just messing.
Yeah.
And
But,
his shoes, $600. That was pre-inflation. They're $795 now. Louis Vuittons.
He probably got him off Craigslist for like $50. But
Dang.
it's all right.
I know.
But for those of y'all that know, I had a good friend Austin Good, and he went out and
Oh,
bought
man.
he bought a Lambo, and you know, first he bought it at a discount, which he was proud of. Shopped a long time to get it, and he bought this Gallardo, which, you know, it's a Lambo. It's not
Yeah.
the most expensive one. He bought it for $100,000, and he told me that it was definitely worth it, even though the thing always had issues, because he said just buying it and posting the picture that he had it immediately brought him business that made him millions.
Yeah, because
So
it's
I
like
will do that.
validation. It's the new thing. It's social media. It's like they see you have it, they automatically think you're legit, and then like you said, you get business from it.
And that's true, because I've had people that wanted to meet up with me to do business, and this guy immediately was disgusted by my truck. And then during this meeting, he was like, he didn't like the way that I dressed. He was very, very upfront about that.
Yeah.
And then he was like, what kind of books do you read? And I was like, man, I'll tell you right now, I don't read books. Like, I read stuff on my iPhone. Like,
Yeah,
it'll
yeah.
ding, hey,
Sure.
here's Yahoo News.
Yeah.
I'm on Investorpedia a lot.
Wall
things
Street
like
Journal,
that.
things like that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm going to
yeah.
read that, but I don't own any books.
Co-Star News and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And this guy was so disgusted with me and just didn't want to do business with me. And like, he knew that I did $1 million deals all the time. I had the business that he needed to be doing business with, but because it didn't match his mindset, his perception
Yeah.
of what a millionaire should be like, that it turned him
Let me
off.
ask you this. There's no wrong or right here. But because you can afford it and you saw potential business is not being performed because you don't have it, you never thought to just get it? Just to get it so you can... It's not because he would accept
It
you.
doesn't it doesn't make me happy. And I know that that's like a hard conversation for a lot of people to have.
Yeah.
But like Donovan just bought a beautiful home. I don't know if you've seen it.
Gorgeous home.
Gorgeous.
And he's spec'd it A
you
to
got
Z.
a gorgeous house.
Thank
But
you.
I'll tell you right now, you would be so impressed by how nice my custom home that's 1,000 square foot is. And it's,
Wait, your custom home's 1,000 square feet?
this is 1,000 square feet.
There's no way.
Yeah.
On the 65 acres.
Yeah. I built a
Which
house.
was
I built
160.
I
Yeah.
built a house to be the inside replica of a 1-bedroom condo. So it's nice.
Oh, wow.
Like my tub's 6 foot, not a 5-foot tub. I got a 6-foot tub.
Well, you're a 6
my
foot
shower's
plus, so you need
huge.
that.
My bedroom's a good size. I've got a huge island, but
I am
it's-
so
You
interested
just
in it.
have what
But-
you need.
but
Is it
I
a
have-
cottage? Would you call it like a cottage house?
Yeah, but it's white hardy panel, but
Beautiful.
It's, I that stuff doesn't make me happy.
Yeah.
That's not what makes me happy.
And you didn't get into this and made all this money because you cared about that stuff.
No, I let me be very upfront that I made money because I had to, not because I wanted to. I lived.
Ooh, that's powerful.
I was raised with nothing. I had nothing. I had a lot of experiences in life that made me grow up faster than what I wanted to, and I was responsible for a lot of people, and I had to.
You had to, not
Yeah.
because
I
you
had
wanted to. It's because you
Yeah.
had to. What?
Yeah.
How old are you right now?
I am 38.
You're super young for what you've accomplished,
And
which is
so-
very impressive.
And I just finished my PFS. I have to update my.
What's PFS?
Yeah, I was about to say What is a PFS?
Personal financial statement.
Okay.
So
What is that?
My lenders make me turn that in once a year, and it's basically like your net
personal
worth.
financial statement. Oh yeah, I got you.
So
I don't know. I got lost.
It's your net worth. It's kind of like a balance sheet, but it's a balance sheet on you, not
Why
just
are they
like
making
your
you turn that in?
assets.
because you have loans with them, and they want to know how you're doing. So
Interesting.
So
That's pretty interesting.
Every year, I turn in my tax returns and my PFS, and so
I think that's interesting. Let me tell you something. This is going to be super interesting. Religious reasons, I can't deal with interest.
yeah.
So I don't, and the whole America works off of interest. Everything. All my deals are either through a private, you call them private lender who doesn't take interest. They come in as partnerships, or they're owner financed. And it gets a lot more complicated within that, but that's why I didn't know what that is, because I don't have those lenders who are going to ask for that. I think also because you're at a high performance level, they need to make sure that you're still making money to pay off all these assets that you need to pay off.
Correct, because
You know what I mean?
the properties start off as the asset, and eventually, when they do enough business, you become the asset. And so they stop checking on the property and start checking on me.
Sure.
Just making sure, like, how am I doing? Because you never know when I might gain a drug habit, or who knows what. You know,
Hey, Jake, we'd like to meet with you just to check on you, make sure.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
So that's what they do. So
Yeah. Do
once
some
a
blood
year,
work.
a year, my banker is like, "Hey, buddy, you want to go have dinner today?"
Yeah.
Yeah, he loves me and would like to take me out to eat, but he really wants to put eyes on you and see how you're doing.
Yeah.
He really wants to see it. Hey, are you strung out? Did you pick up a drug habit in Vegas?
Wow.
Are you guys? I'm blown. You're bringing so much value right now. Are you guys paying attention to this? When I started off saying, "Do not get off of your phone or your laptop or your TV and watch every minute," my head's about to explode from how much value you're giving. And not only that, I don't even have a deadline for how long I want this podcast to go, because he's driven an hour and 15 minutes. I'm going to make sure I keep him locked until I feel like we've got enough out of it.
I will stay here as long as you
Will
want. You
you-
might have to turn it into a part 1 and a part 2.
Maybe,
Yeah.
but let me ask you this on
serious.
live air. We're going to publicize this.
Yeah.
Will you be open for a round 2
Yeah,
in the
absolutely.
near future? We got
Nice.
him.
We got him.
Beautiful.
got him.
And we're going to make another announcement. We will hopefully, on one of these, have you and then Donovan also here.
There you go.
And that'll be
Y'all
us
can
four.
go back and
That
forth.
would be very entertaining.
It'd be
Yeah.
fun, right?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll do that. Okay, so I want to touch base on this, and we're kind of getting closer to the end. We're going to start asking him questions of advice for new investors, for people in real estate, kind of get your insight on what it is. I have a challenge, which is already happening, to 10,000 subscribers for me to get a Rolex, because Ben's like, I got to step up my watch game. I don't have a watch on right now because I resized it, but the pin keeps coming out. Maybe it's a cheap watch. Maybe that's why the pin keeps coming out. We don't
Maybe.
know.
Probably.
How do I back out of that challenge? Because I already accepted it.
You can't. You can't.
I know, I'm just trolling. I'm trying to get saved by him.
Yeah.
What you got to do is you got to upgrade the challenge to where he ends up buying you the watch.
Oh, I
Oh.
love that. I'm a figure. So 20,000 subs, you buy me the Rolex. Well, I already have
Nah.
paid for it. Maybe a
Nah.
reimbursement.
And they make
Yeah.
pens in different sizes, so you might need to put a different pen.
Yeah.
That's probably it. Thanks for the heads up on that. Okay, so the real estate aspect, we kind of got how you started, how you came to where you are right now in life. In my personal opinion, extremely successful. Congratulations on really everything that you've done. I know for you, it's not like a money game, or it's not something that you were like, let me wake up and go make millions. It was something you said you had to do, right? Family right now, how is that going on for, let's say your younger brother, for people in your life? How do you give back to them? Do you give back to them? Did when all this money come in, you became more greedy? Do you feel like every dollar you lose, you're like, crap, I'm going lower on my net worth? Or are you more free-handed? Because keep in mind, in my opinion, sometimes God blesses people with a lot of money, and sometimes he blesses people with a lot of money, which is a poison to them.
Yeah. He
Ruins their
loves
life.
these loaded questions, by the way.
Yeah.
He's like, I've got a question, but let me keep adding to
This
it.
is like
So,
a loaded baked potato with no bacon.
My answers are yes, no, and both. And
Ooh.
so I will tell you that I keep making the money just because I like to work. I hate vacations. When I go on a vacation, I feel nervous. I'm like, I need to be doing something.
Okay.
So yeah, I like to go somewhere, but after a day, I'm over it. I enjoy working. I
Nice.
like being productive to society. With the money that I have, I've set up my little brother for success. I gave him all the startup money to start his own plumbing company.
Good job.
And he went from
He's doing well.
Yeah, he's doing very well. He
Yeah.
lives in a
Good.
very nice house in Plano, which is
Prime
upscale
area.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Good area.
he's doing good. I send my mom, my brother, I send them checks every year for their birthday and Christmas.
Nice.
I've set my dad up very well.
Good job.
Unfortunately, my grandfather, who was a very important person to me, passed away a few years ago.
Sorry to hear that.
But I used my success that he helped me obtain through knowledge and just teaching me to be a man, not any of real estate, but I used that to take care of my grandmother. So, you know,
nice.
Her lawn's always mowed. She is so picky about her lawn. And
That's pretty funny.
I have her lawn always mowed. Whenever her dishwasher went out, I had the dishwasher replaced. Whenever her dryer went out, I had her dryer replaced.
Wow.
Good man.
You know, any issues, I make sure she's taken care of. And so I definitely.
So you're there for them.
Don't get me wrong. Nobody in my family's rolling up in a Lambo. And don't get me wrong, my little brother is asked.
He's what?
He asked me.
He's asked.
Oh, he asked.
Yeah, he's like, hey, hook me up. And I'm like,
when you made all this
nope.
money, how did they become? Did they feel entitled to some of it? Did they ask for more? Did they expect more? You get what I'm saying?
They did ask for more, but
how did you sell them?
Understanding where they came from, you know, I had needs too when I didn't have the money. So, of course, they do too. And who would they come to when they have the needs other than where it's at? So there's a lot of people out there that will turn away family. Here's the thing. If my father were to come to me and tell me that he needed money, who am I as a man if I tell him no whenever I was 8 years old and I wanted a dyno bike? I don't know if y'all know what those are, but those dyno bicycles were $600. And that might not be a lot of money in today, but back in the 80s, that was everything.
You account for inflation, that's $1 million.
Probably.
It was a lot of money.
Okay.
And like, you know, we didn't have money, but my dad made sure that I got that bike.
Oh, really?
And so who am I as a man that when he made sure my needs were met, that I can't make sure that his are?
Love it.
Wow.
And so, and don't think that my dad comes asking me for money all the time. That's not what I'm saying. But, But if somebody needs them, if they need something, I have them. If they want something, I'm not.
How do you turn that down? Like, hey, son, I'd really like that Ford Raptor. What do you think about giving me $90,000?
So it's hard, and it's hard because
is it a brutal no, or is it like, you know, I wish I could, but I have other responsibilities?
it depends on the person.
Yeah.
So that's why a lot of wealthy people do become very cold, and it's because a lot of people do comes with their hands open. Ooh. And I know to everybody, it's like, hey, you got $1 million. What's 1,000? Well, when you have 1,000 people asking for 1,000,
that's $1 million.
Plus you have 1,000 bills yourself. Like, don't get me wrong. No matter how rich you are, Ben Mala even has enough bills that one wrong move could bankrupt them.
1,000,000%.
And so people don't always understand. And, you know, I have a net worth of $9.7 million.
Nice.
I could very easily make a mistake and the $500,000 I have in my bank account be dried up. Yeah. And so success comes from multiple times of getting it right. And any mistake, even a small one, can set you back 2 years. And so hopefully they catch you on the times.
That was beautiful. Yeah. So like people don't see that.
Yeah.
9.7 mil. Come on, you can give me $50,000. You won't flinch.
Yeah.
They don't understand you got it in assets. You got it in tied up money.
He's like little baby. I ain't got 100 mil yet. I can't chill yet.
Oh, wow.
So
nice.
So 9.7 mil. I don't have 9.7 mil in my account. Like we said earlier, I've never even held $1 million.
Yeah.
I saw it in a wire from the title company to the 1031 company. And so, yes, if you ask the IRS, I made $1 million.
Yeah.
But if you ask me, no,
I didn't make nothing. It's so funny. There's a funny story that I'm going to share. This is towards the end. The ones who stay towards the end get really the most gems because we kind of give it, like you just said, your net worth. If someone started in 10 minutes and left, they're out of that. Yeah. You get what I'm saying? I made a really nice deal, and it was a 1031 deal. And this deal, the way it happened was, I don't know if I knew prior to it if we closed your commercial building or post. I think it was before. I knew you were hosting an event in downtown Dallas. 30th floor. Which building? I don't know. Was it
that was the Tower Club that was in the
40th, 50th floor?
Is that the Chase building? The one with the Chase?
No, this is the one that has Santander.
Okay. Anyways, he hosted an event there, and it's basically like get together. I think once a month, real estate investors and just people in the game meet. So I was like, okay, I'm about to get this deal. The only way I'm gonna get this deal is a super sensitive deal, and I'm like, who do I know? Who can I connect with? Who can I reach out to? Reached out to Donovan, got info from him, 30-minute phone call, hung up, felt good. And then I was like, okay, just one more just to get a backup in case that way doesn't work. And then I was like, Jake, and he doesn't know this. And check this out. I went to that event, took my little brother who's sitting right there, Abe, and took Jesse, both of them. I was like, we're in this event, in and out in 5 minutes. They're like, why? I'm like, I have a question, I need to get an answer, and we're out. That's the point of the event.
Yeah.
I go there, say what's up to him. I think that was, first time in person I meet you. Say what's up to him, say, hey, I got a question for you. If I got to do 1, 2, 3, it was a deal that I'm going to wholesale, but really I wasn't. It was a double close deal, but it was super sensitive.
This is the one I remember you telling me.
I think I told you about that. Got the answer from you, left, did exactly that. Got the money, made the money, and walked away. The value of being around people who, in sense, have what you want and know what you would need to know. So many miss out on that. Why do you do those events? Literally for that reason.
So if you notice, any other event that I have seen in the nation is somebody that is trying to sell a product.
You didn't mention nothing about a product.
I sell no products. I will not endorse anybody that does sell products. What I was trying to do was I was trying to have an event to where people that were like-minded in a similar space could get together and just not even talking about real estate, talking about anything else. You will still say something and overhear something that will change somebody's life.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. That was huge. And I took that home and I was like, let's go. And both of them, Jesse and Abe, they're like, already? I was like, yeah, we're good.
Yeah.
And we left.
Got
so
what I needed. Yeah.
that's probably, I think I followed up with you on that. But like, that's just a direct thank you so much for that. It's a blessing to have people who are in your life who give back, aren't afraid. I'm a firm believer, and there's so much business out there, we shouldn't be afraid.
Yeah.
You get what I mean? I'm sure that if you were afraid of somebody buying that property, you're not going to give the value you give. You give insane value on the Facebook groups. You break down deals. You give it for free. And millions, just what you shared in this podcast, will charge 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 grand just to hear it.
Yeah.
And I know you know that.
And I do have people that have paid me $10,000 even recently, just to sit down and have lunch with them for an hour.
I believe you.
And I've had people where I've had lunch with them and they're like, I paid $50,000 for a course that lasted 2 months and I learned more in this 10-minute meeting with you than I did. And I don't know how that is.
Yeah.
And I wish they would have gave me $50,000 instead of 10. But
I think you need to start selling things at these events now. No, I'm just kidding.
But it's crazy how people are not putting out the content and that people need to be getting.
Yeah.
But I do try to be transparent. I try to be the most transparent.
Yeah, you are.
I try to
You
always
are.
break down the entire deal, show all the numbers. I explained to you before the show that I will not break down the numbers anymore because I bought a property at such a great deal that the sister of the brother that sold me the property tried to sue me because she was like, you posted on Facebook that you bought this at a steal. You bought it too cheap. I want it back. Wow. And
She wanted the property back because you got it for such a good deal. Who made the sales price?
so it was in a trust, and the brother came up with the price.
Yeah.
He had it listed on LoopNet for, I don't know, $680,000. I posted, I have a $300,000 1031 exchange. What do you have for sale?
There's no way you got it for $3.
And the guy was like, hey, I've got this triple net property for $680,000. I'm like, no, I got $300,000. I'm looking to buy a property at $300,000. And then he came back to me a week later and he's like, all right, $400,000. And I was like, no, I've got $300,000. I'm looking to get something at $300,000. So then he came back to me and he was like, all right, $300,000. And I was like, you know what? I don't want to do $300,000. It looks a lot cooler if I bought it for $299,000, 99 cents.
Nice.
And he was like, what? And I was like, yeah, take a penny off. Yeah. And so I got it under contract. It ended up being a triple net deal with a corporate lease at a 17.9 cap. And I broke down the deal. I broke down how good of a deal it was. And some of the family members came after me and were upset that he sold it that cheap.
Wow.
These are the real stories that you will not see unless you do deals.
Yeah.
Like stuff that you would never expect. And that's why you take so much precaution, like safety on your deals, especially the one that I helped you with. I've seen it in how you did it. You were super precise with it, and that's how it is. We're going to wrap up the podcast with some fire quick questions. Somebody just got into real estate investing. Like they're looking to get into it and they're about to start. What's a quick advice you got for them? They're about to start in real estate and they need some advice.
The biggest thing is networking. Like people go to networking events, but they don't actually go and network. I'm really big fan of going myself and finding the people hiding in the corner and forcing them out of their safe space and making them talk to people. But on top of that, you have to put it to work. There are people that I know that I've seen at every real estate meetup for the past 7 years.
Wow.
They know more about real estate than me. I will say that right now. They know more than me. They have read every book, and they've never done a single deal.
Yeah.
And it does you no good
Yeah.
to read all these books, watch these podcasts, and to go to these events if you're not going to do it.
Yeah, if you're not going to do anything. I love it. So you're talking about network is really the main thing.
Absolutely.
That's huge. And you network, and you get your title company, you get your lenders, you get your investors. You made a post recently, syndication. Are you doing syndications?
It's coming.
Yes and no.
It's coming. Yeah.
Okay. That was a little iffy one. Okay, so check this. What would you do differently if you were to start over?
If I were to start over, I think if you ask any investor, they would say I would have never sold this, and this, and this, and this.
Is that the case?
Well,
but if you didn't sell this, you couldn't have got that.
Well, a lot of things, if I would have known about 1031 exchanges, if I would have known about the BRRRR method sooner, I didn't know any of this. For a lot of people that watch these videos and gain the information that you're giving out here for free, I didn't have that yet. Like when I started, YouTube was really just a bunch of videos of monkeys at the time and things like that.
When did you get into real estate? I don't know if we said that.
I got in at 2013. So
got it.
Okay. 9 years.
There wasn't a lot out there yet, and
we're barely recovering from the recession. So the market, like people were just damaged.
I bought at the bottom. But see, I didn't know that. I didn't even know that the 2008 crash was a crash and that I was buying at the bottom. I just let me tell you how I got started in real estate real quick. I know we're getting near the end, but I went to a bank and I had saved up from my plumbing company and I had saved up $250,000.
At what age?
I don't know, 23. And
Damn.
23. And
what a beast.
And so he was like teaching me about inflation. I didn't know what inflation was. I'm not educated. I didn't know anything about finance or any of this stuff. I didn't know what the S&P 500 was at the time, NASDAQ and any of that. None of that meant anything to me. And so when he told me about inflation and that my money is losing value every single year at an average of 3%, but he wasn't trying to help me. He was trying to sell me some products that the banks had. And he was like, so do you want to buy this bank product? And I was like, no. He's like, what are you going to do? I'm like, I'm going to go buy real estate. And so I came in not knowing things, but making good decisions on accident. Thank God. I didn't have a mentor. I didn't even know how to fill out my first contract. I found my first deal. It was an amazing deal. I didn't know how amazing the deal. I knew it was a good deal because I watched the market for a year and before jumping in, but I didn't know how good of a deal it was. I didn't even know what contract to use or how to fill it out. I had a friend who was a realtor, and I called him and I was like, hey, I don't know what you're doing right now, but I will pay you $2,000 to drop what you're doing and come here right now with the contract and show me how to fill it out.
Nice.
And so he came over there, he showed me how to do it, I filled it out, and I bought this property that was off market. And I bought it for 40%. I didn't know that.
And that property, what do you do with that property? You held it, you refied it,
I held it for 3 years, and it was my very first property. I held it for 3 years, and I sold it with the first 4 properties that I had bought. I sold all of them together to buy the apartments.
Good job. How far did the 250 take you? How many properties were you able to secure with the 250?
I was paying cash. I wasn't refinancing anything because I didn't know about the BRRRR method at the time.
Got it. 250 can get you how many at that time? 2, 3?
I was buying them for about $50,000 a piece.
Good job. So let's say you got 4. Okay, so because I'm trying to get an answer to those who are like, we don't got cash. How do we get into the game? How do we do this stuff? How do we got 10, 15 grand in the bank?
They can do it with that. So one, I would always recommend wholesale for the first year. Because one, you learn so much about contracts and just the real estate in general. You get to kind of learn the market pricing. And you make a lot of cash real fast. So I always recommend starting off with that a little bit. But if they're wanting to buy properties, whether commercial, residential, whatever, get you a good hard money lender. But you got to also have your in-game lender whoever's going to put you in that long-term debt.
Oh,
And-
okay. So get the short-term debt to
Yeah,
get the
get your
long-term
short
debt.
term. And then, so like whenever I buy a property, I can go say to my hard money lender, hey, I want to buy this deal. They're going to say, all right, you only have to pay $2,000 up front for this loan. They pay everything else.
Got it.
I buy it. I do the value add, whether it's remodeling the house, getting a tenant in it, getting it full ARV, and then I go refinance it out with the end bank. And sometimes when I refinance it out again, I get money at closing.
Nice.
So there's times where I bought a house and got a $10,000 check at closing. They
Nice.
paid me.
Interesting. Very
So,
interesting.
You don't
So-
always have to have money.
You don't have to have money. That's huge. Wholesaling, wholesaling real estate, many people talk about it and they hype it up and they make it sound it's beautiful to do, and it is, but it's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work.
People don't last in wholesaling because they try for 1, 2, 3 months and then they're just, they're shot. A lot of cold calls and stuff. You asked the right questions to that 4-plex when you bought the 20-plex. Have you even asked your son if he wants to still own it? Those are very tactical questions where that's almost somebody trained knows how to ask these questions. For you, maybe it wasn't trained. Maybe it's natural. Maybe you learned to ask these questions as you were flowing. But every question you ask, specifically in wholesaling or buying distressed properties, is knowing how to ask the questions.
Yeah, and I don't think we came to the answer. He asked his son. His son did want it. His son said he has nothing that he wants to do with real estate. His son didn't even live in Grand Prairie. He lived in Austin.
Oh,
Well, that certainly helps.
And he said that his son did a lot of drugs. And I was like, well, even better. Do you really want to die and give him a $200,000 property that he can sell and do a lot of drugs? Or do you want to give him a note that only pays him, $1,000
Yeah.
a month, so he can eat, he's got a roof over his head, but he can't blow it all.
Nice.
And
And it
everybody
landed.
agreed. The father agreed that's best for him. The son agreed that that's what he would prefer to have. It worked out for everybody. I don't want a deal that's not a win-win for everybody.
I love that, and I think that's why you're winning. You make sure everybody who you work with is also a win-win. And sometimes a deal doesn't look like a win-win for the outsider. Maybe him buying a 25 cap property or a 40 cap property. Maybe it's like you got a steal deal and you hustled them. But maybe for them, it was actually a very big blessing. That $4,000 that you paid that one guy who took over his mortgage sub 2, for him, that was a blessing. For someone else, like you hustled his equity because but you gave him $4,000, you took him out of bankruptcy.
And the guy's a real estate investor. He knows the numbers. He knows how much I won. He also knows that if I hadn't done it, he would have lost the house anyways and would have not got $4,000. And as an educated investor, he came back to me again later on another property. So he didn't leave sour.
Nice. Here's the big question that we're not going to answer. Everybody's wondering, how do you find these deals? How do you call these deals? How do you locate these deals? We're towards the ending of the podcast, but is there one word that you may leave them off with on how? I know there's so many avenues. Would you take it back to networking?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You would say that all those
Absolutely.
deals can come back
That's
from that?
that's why we're here right now, all three of us.
True.
This is networking.
True.
And so it all comes down to networking. Absolutely.
Beautiful. So you guys heard it first from here. Networking is the word that we're going to end off with. If you guys network, you get out there, you build relationships, you connect with the right people, I can almost guarantee you, as long as you work hard, you wake up early, you sleep late, you put in the hours, you will gain success. Success never came to that person who easily inherited it or got it. That's not true success. True success is those who work their butt off every single day. You ask Jake, or you ask Ben, or you ask me, or you ask those who work real hard for their money, who earn their money, to spend some money in a dumb area, they'll be hesitant to do it, not because they can't, but because they think of the sweat and tears they put in to get that money.
Yeah.
You guys get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So network hard, connect with the right people, and may God bless you all to hopefully let you flourish and do your best. On this podcast, our goal is value. If we don't give it, we don't do these podcasts. And so far, I think that we're doing good with that. This podcast was amazing. I want to give you a handshake.
Yeah.
God
I'll
bless
give
you,
you a handshake.
seriously.
Thank you so
Thank you
much.
so
Yeah.
much for
Yeah.
that. Thank you so much for your time, for driving out here. I really hope you enjoyed it, to be honest with you.
I did.
Good.
I know that you got he was not going to actually make it today from how busy you are. Mid of the podcast, he took a call from Fort Worth for the EDC, or the services department, if that's what they call it. And, we're still doing business as we're here, but we're putting in the time to hopefully give you guys value. Really appreciate that. Can't thank you enough. Hopefully we'll do another one with me, you, Jake, and then Donovan also.
Yeah.
Get that going and give you guys more value. And that's the name of the game, giving back what I believe God's blessed us to have. We will always do our best for that. You got Karam with you. You got Ben with you. You got Jawad Dashti, a.k.a. Jake, or JD, or whatever name that makes him money.
Yes.
Yeah.
All of us right now, wishing you much love and much success. And also join the Discord below if you want instant answers from me and Ben. That's where we're at every single day. We'd appreciate that. And like and subscribe to this YouTube channel if you got value. Anyways, guys, for right now, all three of us, we're out.
Peace.
Good job, everybody.
Yes. Good
Beautiful.
stuff. Good stuff.